Good afternoon, Claudia. Thank you so much for coming. We hi.
Hi, how are you?
So we're going to be starting at about 5 minutes past the hour. So just if you need to go get coffee or something like that, you're not going to lose any of your place. So we'll start 5 minutes after the hour. We'll let other people be able to get into the event. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. Hello, Igor. Good afternoon. We're going to be starting at about 5 minutes after the hour. So just want to let you know if you need to get your coffee or Rockstar, not a problem, right? So we'll go into that in just a minute. All right, Robert Hall. Hey, Robert. Good afternoon. We're going to be starting here in about 5 more minutes at 1:05, and then we'll get started from there. All right, everyone. We got a couple more minutes. We're going to send out the reminder here, and then we're going to get into the new SMB partner paths for solution partner designations. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be really cool. All right, it's 1:05. Here we go. Here we go. So thank you so much for coming today. If you're coming to watch or coming for the workshop for new SMB partner path for solution partner designations, you've come to the right place. So this is really fantastic. This is a workshop that is sponsored by Microsoft. My name is Sherman Crancer. I'm the president and CEO of the Crancer Group. And we've been contracted by Microsoft to roll out the new SMB paths for solution partner designations. This workshop is actually set up to design and designed to help you understand these new paths, talk about a few other programs that we're actually going to be rolling out, such as Cloud Ascent, and what to expect from this workshop. It's actually slated for 4 hours. I know, believe it or not, right? But the first 2 hours are going to be more heavy on the programs, right? And then the second 2 hours is actually on partner profitability. We're going to be talking about business, technical, marketing, and we also have a workbooks that we're going to be kind of sharing and working with you on to kind of show you how to potentially shape your business. If you're thinking about, okay, my business is here and I want to grow it 2, 4, 6 times the size of it, I'm going to show you and talk to you about how to actually do that. We're also going to get right into the SMB partner path. We're going to go through all of the different options that come along with that, and then we're going to do some walkthroughs. We're going to talk about Partner Center walkthrough. We're going to talk about Marketplace review, and then also co-sell. These are 3 areas that in the past have either caused a lot of confusion. Partner Center, because things move a lot, right? And I'm going to show you, it may seem rudimentary at first, but I promise you, I'm going to show you some really cool key areas. Now, Marketplace has been something in the past we've kind of all struggled with as Microsoft partners. Do we need to put an offer in the marketplace? Why do we need to put an offer in the marketplace? I don't know. We need to put an offer in the marketplace, right? But what's the reason why we want to do that, right? Next is co-sell. Like, what is co-sell? What does co-sell ready mean? Why do I want to understand that? Why do I want to utilize that right now, right? So we got some walkthroughs. So it's a combination of PowerPoints and some walkthroughs. We'll have a workbook that we actually are going to be working off of today in this session, which is actually being shown on the screen. But what the workbook is actually designed to do is to give you instant feedback on your current business, okay, based on how do you compare to the top 25 partners at Microsoft when it comes to growth and whatnot. So we'll get into this a little bit later on today. The first start is really about understanding the solution partner paths, right? Let me go ahead and share my screen here so that you can actually see my screen there. So we have 2 hours. If you decide to stay on the additional 2 hours, then we're going to get into partner profitability, which is really awesome. Okay. We're also going to be talking about how to maximize your Microsoft partnership. This is really important because we're going to give you the keys to the castle. What do you need to focus on as a Microsoft partner, right? And because there's so many things to focus on. Working with a manufacturer the size of Microsoft, it is daunting. It is difficult. It is interesting, right? And how to actually work, with it. But also, like, what do you focus on? Right? What do you focus on? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil down this ocean to a little cup of water, and that little cup of water is what you need to focus on. A little background of myself, so you kind of know where I'm coming from and why I'm here. I spent about 5 years at Microsoft. My first 2.5 years, I worked in the breadth motion, where I was responsible for helping 6,000 partners kind of get into Microsoft and start selling deals. And then my last 2.5 years, I spent working with the top 25 partners in the Western United States. So those partners were anywhere between $30 million and $350 million in gross revenue. So what that ended up giving me was a master's degree, really understanding a partner. I can ask you 10 questions and I can kind of know where you're at, but it's also helped me understand, what are the best partners doing, right? What are the ones that are struggling doing, right? And I think that's where the second half of this workshop is going to be really important, is to really kind of just talk about, like, how are you going about it? How are you going about sales? How are you going about marketing, right? What are you focusing on? What are you thinking about, right? What are you doing? So we want to understand that. So what to focus on, and today, I want you to be able to leave today, and my expectation is that you leave today with a better understanding of why you want to attain the solution partner designation, why you want to actually be at the highest tier, which is called an advanced specialization partner. And then we're going to talk about unlocking significant incentives, back-end incentives, but also investments that you can get access to that will really help grow your business. Ultimately, I think the idea, I think why people work with us and talk to us ultimately is going to be around like, well, how do I work with Microsoft, right? How do I get ready for Microsoft? How do I do that, right? And I think, a lot of partners have come to me and said, Sherman, how do you get us introductions? How do you get us introductions to, Microsoft sellers, right? How do you do that? And, basically, the way that was done in the past is no longer how it's done today. I'm going to show you what's called the keys to the castle. Okay, the keys to the castle, so that you know exactly what to focus on. Then, after we lay these foundational principles, okay, then you can start looking at the other programs that are coming out. But let's focus on how to unlock the most of your partnership with Microsoft. Let's focus on that, right? And then focus on business profitability. How do we change? How do we turn into a $10 million partner, $20 million partner, $30 million? What are the mechanics behind it, sales and marketing and that kind of stuff? So I think this will all tie together as we go through it. Now, it's an interactive session that we have here. So please, there's going to be areas where you need to answer or ask questions or answer questions. Please help the group here. I don't know everything there has to do with Microsoft. There's a lot of stuff swimming in the head, but not necessarily all of it. So today we're going to be working on that. Please raise your hand, ask any questions. We're happy to talk more about anything you need to talk about, right? Especially depending on your business that's coming there. So with that being said, I'd like to just kind of go around and do some quick introductions. Would you mind just introducing yourself? We can start with Crystal. Just introduce yourself, very simple, you and your company, and maybe why you came to the session, what you're looking to learn.
Crystal Anderson, Alvarez Technology Group, Director of Customer Care and Operations, but basically do most of the purchasing and vendor relations.
All right.
So I came to it just to see if I can get, trying to understand Microsoft and all our requirements is crazy. I'm hoping they're changing stuff because we've met some of the requirements as far as our technical certifications have gone. But they're net new ads and dollar requirements are getting a little crazy. So we're on our legacy gold. We've been nursing that along as they've been letting us renew it. But we know we got to get going on the other stuff. So that's where I'm at.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm going to debunk any bad theories that you might have today, and we're going to make it very simple. Okay. And instead of you hunting and pecking for 80 hours trying to find this stuff, I'm going to show you the very specific areas to look for and watch. Simple as that. I'm going to cut about 80 hours of hunting and pecking out of your day or out of your month, out of your year, because I'm going to show you exactly where. So awesome. Thank you so much for coming today. Let's go to Claudia, and then I'll go to Igor, and then Robert. Claudia, would you mind just introducing yourself?
Yes, sure. So I am from Guatemala. We work with CryptoNube. The company name is CryptoNube. And I am in charge of managing everything about Microsoft. And like Crystal says, everything is a little bit crazy. And Microsoft used to do, they're always changing everything. So keeping track, those that they will know everything is a little bit hard sometimes. So hoping this can solve any questions that I have. And if we can talk about incentives, that will be great.
Oh, we are definitely talking about incentives today. How to stack and make money off of this partnership. Yes. So awesome. Thank you. All right, Igor.
Hi. I am not speaking English. I am using it in traduction things now. Okay. I am Brazilian.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for coming, and hopefully the translator works well for you. But Thank you very much. And I look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions.
Okay.
All right. Robert.
Hello, hey, it's Robert Hall, Horizon Systems out of Columbus, Ohio. Mostly interested in just what I don't know already. I mean, there is a massive plethora of information out there on the Microsoft Partner Portal. And sometimes when you get the magic secret decoder ring, short path to anything is a blessed event.
Okay, Robert, I'm here to help, brother. We're gonna do this, man. We're gonna solve a lot of this stuff. So thanks so much for coming. And then have you gotten your solution partner designation yet? Or are you still working towards it?
Still working towards it.
Okay. So cool stuff. Okay.
Also,
awesome.
Yeah, and it's like covering also some of the, I think it's the CSP, just the NCE, covering up some of the licensing models that they've recently gone to. Is any of that ringing a bell to where trying to understand it better, to where it was shoved down a lot of our throats, whether or not we wanted it or not. But it also makes it licensing for the tenants, who owns it, how is it transferred, things of that nature. Anything you can touch on with that would be great.
Yeah, so 100%. Okay, so I will touch on that. Phil is actually our moderator today, but Phil, put a note down to make sure that I touch on NCE and CSP when I get into the partner walkthrough. Just remind me on that one, please. So excellent stuff. Robert, definitely we're going to help you with that, no problem. My other thing too is just to kind of, I have a goal whenever I talk to Microsoft partners is how do you be leaner? How do you be meaner, right? Or not meaner, but how do you, look at this IT business in a way that's going to help you shape for tomorrow, right? But then also, if we're going to work with a manufacturer or work with a particular partner, okay, what do we have to focus on and to get that highest level of partner attainment so that we can unlock all of the different benefits and incentives, right? So that's really what you're going to be hearing me today to talk about. We're also going to be talking, you're going to hear me say this thing called Stop the Madness, and the inmates run the asylum. We're going to be talking about that. And that's, directly related to technical readiness, related to marketing and sales, which is near and dear to my heart with that. So perfect. All right. So let's get into it here. I'm going to go ahead and move forward past this. Let's get into the workshop agenda. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So the agenda for the 4 hours, okay, now the main part is please stay for the first two. The last is partner profitability, but we're going to talk about that. We do a little quick introduction, the history behind some of these things that we are talking about or seeing. We're going to get right into the new SMB path for solution partner designations for partners and all the ins and outs of it. So we're going to talk about that, but also inside of that, I'm going to have an example of a deal that you could be working on and what you could make as a solution partner, designation partner, right? Or what you can make if you're an advanced specialization. So I want to show you in real dollars and cents how it all works. Then we're going to get into this program called Cloud Ascent. Holy Moses. Let me tell you, of all the 1,000 different programs that are out there, this is one of the ones that I think is just amazing. And then we'll get into business profitability, okay? Along with the workshop, we have some workshop exercises. We have some technical assessments, some assessments that we're working on at the end of it, okay? However, we're also doing some partner center walkthrough, marketplace offer walkthrough, talking more about specializations, and then ultimately co-sell, and why co-sell is super important today, when maybe a couple of years ago it wasn't important. Okay, so that's really what the agenda is, and then I'm going to go into the agenda for this first section. Is we're going to do Microsoft Partner Function, Microsoft Partner Challenges. We're going to get into Solution Partner Designation Challenges, and then also working with Microsoft sellers. Then we're going to break and get into the SPDs for SMB partners. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of kick it off here over in, so Microsoft Partner Function. Okay, so what do Microsofts do? We collaborate. Oh, let me back up for one moment. The PowerPoint and the workbook are located in your folder that we're giving to each person who's attending. Now, if you are coming in, please register for it in the next event to get access to this. So just want to let you know, all this stuff is already created for you, and there's a resource to get everything for you. Okay, awesome. So what is the Microsoft Partner Functions? Well, Microsoft partners, we collaborate and we work with Microsoft to deliver innovative solutions to their clients by procuring and redistributing software via distribution channels, right? Cool, okay. Two, then Microsoft says, hey, we're gonna provide a margin, right? You're gonna go through your CSP provider, indirect, right? So Arrow, right? Ingram, Synapse, Tech Data, any one of these different types of distribution partners. You get a margin, right? You get like a discount on what the MSRP price is, but then you also get back-end incentives for that will help actually create market development funds to help build your business through marketing that Microsoft wants to invest back into you. Next, Microsoft partners, they implement cloud-focused cutting-edge technology for their clients. And then the last point I want to say, just the basic Microsoft function, and I know this seems rudimentary, but this is foundational. I want to just talk foundational first, okay? I want to break everything down so we can just focus on the right things. But we're using Microsoft in just about 95% of all of our conversations when we're talking to, our customers. We are, right? Microsoft is cool again. It's been cool again for about 10 years. It's amazing because of all this innovation, the explosion of the cloud, the pandemic actually ended up helping our industry to a degree, right? Because it was like cloud was being adopted slowly. It was like methodically, but now, wow, the pandemic, remember when Teams and pandemic, everyone's like, well, how the heck am I gonna work, right? Teams came out, boom, explosion. Now everyone's working on video. I remember one of my old colleagues used to tell me when I was working at Microsoft, I was a big video guy. I was like, everything's got to be on video. We got to be on video, everybody. We got to talk on video. And they kept telling me, Sherman, you're crazy. You're absolutely nuts. I'm like, I am not nuts. I'm going to tell you something. This is how we're going to communicate in the future, right? And then the pandemic hit, right? I didn't prognosticate that. I didn't do that. But what I did do is understand that communication through this medium is really necessary, right? So things have changed, right? Cloud has changed as well, right? So if I want to kind of move forward, let's get into a little bit of the history and kind of why we're here, right? So in 2022, Microsoft rolled out the new Solution Partner Designation Program, right? And phasing out silver and gold partnerships. And partners were given new guidelines to attain Solution Partner designations with a focus on skilling as the primary component, supplemented by continued growth and enablement efforts, right? So it came out with a big bluster, right? Holy Moses, boom, right? And a lot of the partners that we've talked to and talked to over the past have come back and said, whoa, wow, these are hard to attain. I don't know why we're doing this. This is weird, right? And they come back and say, I don't know if I can, well, what's the benefit, right, for getting a solution partner designation, right? Well, I think if we break it down a little bit, if we take this back and uncover the look under the covers a little bit, right, under the hood, right, we can understand why there's a change to this. And the first thing I like to talk about is, silver and gold, when they were designed, they weren't designed for cloud workloads. Period. They weren't. They were designed to show that you are a great partner delivering Windows 2007 data center, right? You could do the servers and you could networking and all these things that were there, right? But cloud comes out in 2015, 2016, really people started adopting it, Office 365, and that was our very first iteration of cloud, right? So back then we only had to worry about, hey, we're going to move your email to Office 365. And we got now all these business applications. The funny thing was, I remember I got hired at Microsoft back in 2016, and I came in from a completely different perspective. I remember I was talking to my boss, and he's like, Office 365 is all about Exchange. It's just about email. And the way I looked at it, which is very interesting, because I came from outside the industry, I was like, that's not what it's for. It's for business productivity. It's getting 5 different downloads. It's not having to buy 1 license, right? So everyone has a little bit different perspectives on things, right? But if I'm looking at the history, okay, behind this, we have an explosion of cloud workloads across the industry, whether you're talking about Microsoft or other manufacturers that are out there. Since 2016, we have an additional 6,000 workloads in the cloud that is out there, and that's just for Microsoft. So think about the other manufacturers, the other companies that are coming in, right? Adobe has got a lot of cloud stuff too, right? But they don't compete with Microsoft, so I can say their name, right? But there's like 6,000 new workloads. Okay, so let's go into deeper, a little bit more history to it behind this. So I think in 2019, 2020, as a company, there was a lot more complaints based on some of the partners that were saying they were going around saying, I'm a gold Azure partner, not understanding, what it took to develop some of those workloads. So there's some complaints coming in. There are complaints from partner or customers who called corporate and said, hey, we evaluated, 3 different partners, and we went with the one that said they're a gold Azure partner. However, our BDI deployment is a disaster. Or another one, hey, we went with the gold partner for Azure migration, and it was a disaster, but it said they're gold. So and that happened, right? And it kept happening, right? And it was kind of like being in a fight, getting 2 black eyes and not even being in the fight, right? You're waking up with 2 black eyes, like, what happened? You got this. And I think it's because, when in 17 and 18, silver and gold came out for Azure, and all you had to have was an Azure admin. Okay, or you need to have for $10,000 in Azure consumption revenue, ACR, then you can get 1 Azure admin, and boom, you're a silver Azure partner, right? And then if you want to be a gold partner, you just had to have 2 Azure admins and $100,000 in Azure consumer revenue. Cool, gold partner, sweet. Okay, however, 3,000 workloads. How can you be an expert at that, right? So push comes to shove, and the reality was, the partner base that we were working with, we needed to make sure that they were focused on upskilling their technical resources so that they can do, better jobs at doing deployments. But it helps both, not just the corporate entity, right, Microsoft with their reputation, but it also helps our partners do a couple things. One, it helps them with their reputation. But what I always think about is profitability. I think about profitability. I think about how are you making money, the most money that you possibly can. If your technicians are upskilled and have the chops, with an Azure solution architect, right? They have that, right? Their ability to deploy that workload in the time that you have allotted in your SOW with the customer really helps with partner profitability. One of the silent killers of all partner profitability, and people don't realize this, is what's called utilization rate. It's how well are you using your technical resources. If your technical resources, and you say, okay, there's 10 hours to deploy this particular solution, but they don't know how to do it, and it takes them 20, wow, what a killer to that profit margin where you had maybe set at 48, 49%, is now down to 17, now down to 14, right? Because we don't have the skills to do that. But how are your people going to be the experts at 5,000 workloads? So Microsoft, and it's a great wisdom. I think it's amazing. They said, okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to create 6 different solution areas so that our partners can focus on one solution area, and then they can go and let people know that they are an expert at data and AI, right, or modern workplace, or security. They can say we have a solution. This is great. Now we have more focused partners just because of the breadth of cloud products that are out there. We want to help them understand this, right? We want to help them kind of, maybe help them point in a better area where they can actually get that. So the silver and gold was when this came out, we're saying, okay, they're going to expire in 6 months. It's kind of like hey, let's push you to get this done. In reality, what we needed to do was extend those, okay, and that's where it is now. Shortly, I do believe it will be going away, but I can't prognosticate here. But yeah, I think the real push is to get people solution partner designations, right? Now the benefits are amazing. Okay, the benefits, basically what they did, if you're a silver cloud partner, you got X amount of Azure consumer revenue, X amount of individual use right software. Okay, cool, right? Awesome. And then you're a gold, you got a whole lot more. Well, in this scenario, with a solution partners designation, you now have access to $6,000 in Azure credit. You get what all the gold benefits were if you were a gold partner in the past. Awesome, right? Okay, so the next step, that's the history behind, the solution partner designation program. Now, in talking, and I was talking to a couple of leaders at Microsoft last year when they came to me and said, Sherman, you influence a lot of partners. What do you think is some feedback based on why they're maybe not getting it, right? And I said, well, I think maybe solution the attainment might be a little bit too difficult because our partners have smaller Azure environments, possibly. The second one is skilling. How do we help them get skilled resources, right? That might be a little too high, and I don't know. And what I thought was really awesome, and I worked at Microsoft, so pivoting the big aircraft carriers is hard to do. However, in a short 3 to 4 month time frame from when we actually were talking to them about it and helping them out with some surveys, they actually pivoted very quickly to say, okay, hey, we are going to put something out for the smaller partner at Microsoft, okay? The partner who focuses on SMB, who focuses on 0 to 300 seats, right? Their Azure environments might be smaller than the partner who's focusing on SMC, which is the small, medium corporate, okay? Right? So cool, awesome. They came out with something that we can all sink our teeth into, and that's what we're really going to focus on today. What are some of the challenges that I see? And I've over the last 10 years, I've actually sat with over 1,000 partners, sat in across from them, talking to them, evaluating them, right? And one of the main things that comes up is, hey, how do we stack up? How do we stack up? How do we against the top 25? How do we evaluate our organization? The other one is I always talk about navigating the partner portal. And I have an analogy that I'm going to use. Okay, I'm going to use this analogy. I know that this is being recorded for posterity, I guess, but I have an analogy that Microsoft comes out and they say, hey, take a look at this salmon. Do you love this salmon? And this is to the partner base. This is an analogy, right? And they say all these features of the salmon is beautiful. It's pink. If you're to cook it, this is our suggestions. And they're like, hey, partner group, do you love this salmon? And the partner group goes, yeah. Absolutely. This is amazing. This is one of those programs I want to take advantage of. And they say, okay, just pay special attention. There's 3 dots on the salmon on the tail. Do you see those? And the partners go, yeah, we see those. We see those. And then they say, okay, hold on a second. And they get up and then they walk over to the ocean and they throw the salmon in. And they say, okay, partner base, go find the salmon for me and come back when you found the one with 3 dots. You come back with a different one. They're like, nope, wrong salmon. My analogy is really like, well, you're working with any big manufacturer, especially a manufacturer like Microsoft that has thousands of Microsoft partners, but also have thousands of really brilliant people at Microsoft trying to help you guys out. Sometimes there's just too much information, right, to understand. Today, when we do the navigation of the partner portal, I'm going to show you very specific areas to look at. We're going to cut the static out. I want to focus on fundamentals. And then that's what we do after we complete our fundamentals, which is attaining the advanced specialization, and we know how to work with Microsoft. Then we can start looking at these other enablement programs and the other things that we can provide, right? A lot of partners ask me, well, what should we focus on? That's another thing. Well, I know. I also had it's interesting. I had a discussion with a VP at Microsoft last week, and we were talking about this, and the question came up and said, Sherman, do you think we're out innovating our partners, right? And I thought about it for a moment, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely. With Copilot, right? With data and AI now using Copilot, right? But also this new thing called Microsoft Fabric, which is an amazing modern data warehouse, right? But it's now you have one lake as opposed to having data lake and a data factory. You're having you're taking unstructured data and structuring it all in one single pass with one GUID. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. But the expectation of our partner base to focus on all these new things is tough. However, are we innovating? Yes, but it's not just us, it's everybody, because we have independent software vendors that are out there that are constantly innovating and creating new things, right, to go to market with. So very interesting, right? So 2 things that are also near and dear to my heart for Microsoft Partner Challenges are sales and marketing. We as an industry have a very interesting expectation when it comes to building our business, right? How do we acquire net new customers, right? And then on top of that, marketing is we have the wrong as an industry. Our expectations behind marketing are based on inaccurate assumptions, and I'm gonna dive into that today because it's really like we're the Tyrannosaurus Rex. With the legs that we got and the tail and the head are all of our technical resources, right? We're great at that, but when it comes to sales and marketing, we're like these underdeveloped arms, Tyrannosaurus Rex, right? Underdeveloped, and we need to develop these two arms to really turn into a partner that is looking at growth year over year over year over year, right? And not just relying on referral-based net new customer acquisition. These are some very different things. We're going to talk about that today in detail, at length, right? And then the last three things I'll talk about really is marketplace offers. We've all been tasked with creating marketplace. If you've been a managed partner, a growth partner, an unmanaged partner, you've heard probably from our disties, from Microsoft, put an offer in marketplace, And a lot of feedback from that is like, well, I did it, but I didn't see any referrals or any leads, okay? I did it, and what's going on? What was the purpose of that exercise, right? Well, maybe in the past it was that, but today, or actually back in July, it is actually one of the most important places to understand, to actually post what you do and how you do things, because ultimately that's going to be our jump off point to working with Microsoft sellers. Okay, you're probably wondering, everyone wants to work with Microsoft sellers. They come to us all the time and say, hey, Sherman, can we pay you to introduce us to Microsoft sellers? And I'm like, well, thank you for the offer, but no, thank you. I can't do that because there's rules of engagement now, and you have to be a certain level of attainment, and you have to follow the level of attainment, but also use the new rules, which are marketplace and deal registration, and using co-sell to create relationships with Microsoft sellers. So I'm going to give you some keys to the castle. If that's where you're kind of getting towards, you're getting to that market where you want to talk to Microsoft sellers and collaborate and work with them, but there's certain things you need to understand behind it. Okay. Last is advanced specializations. Why should I focus on that? I get that a lot from a lot of partners that we talk to is, why should I focus on an advanced specialization? I got the partner solution designation. I'm good. I don't need to do that. Well, the reason you want to do that is twofold. Threefold. One, you get your people to be more focused and get even higher certification. So that's going to help us with profitability and utilization rate and reduce these silent killers. That's great. Okay. Number two, it now puts you in a very select group of partners that can now qualify to work with Microsoft sellers. That's the way we look at it, okay? Which then in turn potentially helps you get into new opportunities that you never would have access to in the past. So that's the second thing. Now, the third thing is, you're going to hear about this a lot from me. My guidance is to go where the money is, okay? So Microsoft currently for this last fiscal year, and things change, every year, but is really focused on making sure we incentivize all of our advanced specialized partners so much more than our just regular solution partner designation. It's not because they're like, oh, we don't want to work with those partners. It's more about, okay, let's put the money where with the partners that we know are delivering these solutions and following our methodology, right, on how to actually deploy using the cloud adoption framework. So if you folks here don't know what the cloud adoption framework is, we're going to get into that a little bit later. And that's something that you want to start implementing in your run books, how they go about that. But really, the advanced specialization opens up boatloads of incentives in the back end. I can't tell you. I'm going to show you two examples today on a $100,000 deal where you can get a significant, you get actually 4 times the money that you'd get just as a solution partner. You get 4 times that money as an advanced specialized partner. Holy Moses, right? So that's, I think, on the challenges. when it comes to that. Okay, so that's what we see. And we're going to debunk a bunch of these things, along with some of the things that you guys have talked about. A little confusion on CSP, NCE, PSD. The funny thing is, if I look back, on the main intranet at Microsoft, and I can say this because this is they actually had a acronym dictionary because man, talk about a company that can create acronyms. Holy Moses, right? But there's actually a dictionary on there, so I would type in, "What does this mean?" And then it would tell me like, "Oh, that's what it stands for." Okay, because there's a lot of changes, right? A lot of changes at Microsoft. So. Yeah, funny story behind that. That was, another funny. Another thing to kind of think about is Microsoft Co-op. So I'm curious. Here, has anybody here in our call actually used Microsoft Co-op, or anyone or know what Microsoft Co-op is?
Know what it is, but I haven't gotten any to use.
Oh, okay. Today we're going to find out if you have some that you didn't know about. So we'll show you exactly.
No, we looked. Yeah, we got on a call with you guys not too long ago. We don't have it yet, only because a lot of it is tied to getting those specializations in place and starting to earn them. And we just got our techs certified like a couple months ago. They were taking their sweet time, and we haven't reached the full specializations yet because we haven't met the dollar and net new ads. We're like 2 away or something.
Okay, so actually in July that's going to change because you probably will just meet it automatically with this new
nice.
The new the bars have been a little bit lowered, so that'll be cool. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So the other. Oh, did we lose her? She'll come back in. The other thing to think about here is Microsoft. Okay, let me explain what Microsoft Co-op is. Okay, Microsoft Co-op, what it is Microsoft says, look, we're going to incentivize our partner group to sell the services we have, right? Every manufacturer has that, right? And basically says, okay, welcome back, Crystal.
That's wrong button.
I'm like, I didn't exit her. That was a great answer. But okay, so Co-op is Microsoft says, okay, if you're going to buy Office 365 from your distributor, you're going to get a margin, right? So you get like 15, 10, 15, 20 points. It's up to you, right? Then they say, well, we're also going to give you an incentive. If you sell this particular workload, we're going to give you like 6% on the back end, 8% on the back end. Okay, great, awesome, right? And so what happens is every 6 months, all that back end incentives come in. They're called rebates. Okay, they're coming in. You're making a little bit of money, 6%, 3%. Some workloads like Teams calling can pay you up to 26% in back end rebates. It's unbelievable, right? But then Microsoft says, okay, for every dollar that comes in, we're going to take 40 cents of it and put that into your co-op bucket. Then you're going to keep 60 cents. And we're going to send you a check. And that check is and I'm going to identify something of a mystery for many partners out there. They're like, what is this check I get every 6 months from Microsoft? I have no idea. It's like 4,000 or 10,000 or 12,000. And there's nothing behind it. Like, well, that's probably your co-op payment. Okay, so that's probably what it is. That's kind of what it is. Now, a couple caveats to this. So there's a bit of a clause in there that basically says if you're under $10,000, okay, you're going to get the whole 10,000 at one time. Okay, the whole 10,000 at one time. Awesome. Okay. Now, if you're over 10,000, you need to spend it every 6 months. Now, if you don't spend the difference in your co-op, you're going to end up losing your co-op dollars. Okay, so that's why it's important that we make sure that we don't leave any money on the table. And so the other thing too is you can use co-op for marketing activities, but also for certification exams, attending Microsoft-led events, right? Pay for your tickets to Inspire. Holy Moses, let's go to Inspire, everybody. Now that we know where co-op is, right? And doing that, right? So there's a lot of partners don't know, like, okay, what could I possibly put my money into, right? Or what can I spend it? And the way I look at it is, you should be spending that money on marketing. It should be creating a monthly marketing rhythm that you're constantly doing, and you create a marketing plan that sits over a year. And after that year, you do tweaks every quarter, but you don't start and stop, which a lot of our partners do. And that's what we really want to kind of clear up, okay, is stop the madness that we see in the partner group, right? So we're going to stop that, right? And so that's what we're going to help you with, is understanding co-op. Today in our Partner Center walkthrough, each one of you will actually, we're going to show you how to go ahead and see if we have any claims available for you. So that's going to be really cool. Okay, let's get to the next session, next piece of this. And this is where we want to kind of pause here. And it's working with Microsoft sellers. So I want to kind of debunk a little bit of these theories, but I also want to make sure that we're giving the right guidance on, if you want to eventually work with a Microsoft seller, there's a few things that you need to accomplish, right, to work with them, right? So, there's three different sections of the market. There's SMB, 0 to 500 seats. Now, there's no Microsoft account executive that's attached to that. Okay, so it's SMB. That's really for our partner base. Now, from 500 seats to 2,500 seats is what's called SMC, small, medium, and corporate. Okay. Now, that delineation, the divvy is typically 40 customers per 40 customers per 40 customers per account executive. Okay. So we just had, excuse me one second, we just had to change it. Can everyone hear me in English? Still?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it said change to Portuguese. I'm like, I hope I'm not. Okay, sorry. All right. So back to my train of thought here. Working with Microsoft sellers, we need to understand a couple things first. We need to understand if that's a natural progression, because there's nothing wrong with wanting to work with a Microsoft seller, because you might be in an account, right, that is a large account. You're influencing that account. Well, why don't you team up with a Microsoft seller to see how you guys can work together? Now, Microsoft understands this because there's a compound annual growth rate around 27% in any account that has both the partner really involved along with the Microsoft seller, right? So now they've actually, from a corporate standpoint, they've mentioned to all of their sellers, hey, we want you to make sure you attach a partner to every deal. That makes sense, right? However, let's understand the psychology behind their role, okay? They're given 40, 60 accounts in the SMC, right? So they're constantly talking to a lot of different, some accounts are getting a lot more attention than others, but they need help. But one thing that they don't need is they don't need a partner. They don't need to refer a partner in to a customer, and that partner doesn't know what they're doing, okay? And then the partner creates a black eye. Big problem, right? Big problem for them, right? So we need to understand that really what a seller's motivation is to work with Microsoft partners who can do two things. One, be steadfast and understanding the technology and actually do the implementation correctly without any mistakes, right? That's what they really want. And then number two, they really want to work with a partner that thinks about tomorrow and how to potentially cross-sell, upsell, okay? So if we understand those two things, the third thing we need to debunk right now, and this is what I get a lot of, and I want to talk about this, okay? What I want to talk about this is channel conflict. Channel conflict is a big deal. So we get a lot of partners saying, oh, well, I had this deal and Microsoft got wind of it and they stole this deal from me. They took it from CSP licensing. They put it on an EA contract. Okay. Now, I always want to temper expectations on that because I think that when you're playing in those ranges, okay, 500 seats and above is actually supposed to be on an enterprise agreement contract. So you're kind of like putting yourself out there at risk anyways. opportunistically, a Microsoft seller, that's what they're getting compensated on. So how can we fault them for asking them? Plus, with an enterprise agreement contract, they can give much better discounts or MAC commitments or different things. So you really can't compete, and you shouldn't. And what I mean by that is if you are ever thinking about working with a Microsoft seller and you're within 3 months of either a renewal or you're going to do your licensing first, do your licensing on your own. If you're that good, don't even bring licensing into the conversation. After you finish the licensing, get them on CSP, then call up the seller and say, hey, how can we work together, right? So remove the idea of channel conflict by understanding the nature of what's going on. There is no conflict if we understand it. If there's a renewal coming up, it's the end of the year, and a seller can get wind of it, the main thing they're going to do is they're going to try to sell the licensing to. I mean, come on, it's just human nature, right? And they're not doing anything wrong. They're doing the right thing. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I want to show you the keys to the castle. Okay. I think there's a little bit of pushback in the industry when it came to, well, we don't want to work with every partner, because I also believe that they were being inundated by hundreds and hundreds of partners that had their hand out. The next thing we need to understand too, it's not their job to build your business, okay? It's really our job to support their business. If we think about it that way, completely different scenario. Okay, now the bar has been set, because I think that the pushback was, I don't want to keep talking to 100 partners that I don't know if they're any good or not, right? So I think there's some guidelines. So in order, and this is what we found, now this is not set in stone, this isn't put anywhere like you have to do this, but we found that we get the best success if we guide our partners to get 4 or 5 things. 1, you have to get your solution partner designation. You have to, okay? 2, you have to be an advanced specialization partner. So that's the highest level of attainment. 3, you have to have co-sell offering in the marketplace. Okay, that is an offer. Could even be services, but that offering needs to align with your solution partner designation. Big difference. And in my opinion, our guidance is to get 3 that are verticalized. Okay, verticalize them, because it just helps with sectioning you out and differentiating you for yourself. And then lastly, you must now use the co-sell and deal registration process to actually engage with a seller. Because basically, instead of 150 seller or Microsoft partners talking to every seller, it's basically saying, okay, let's set a bar. And then when you complete all these things, you get added to a very special dropdown that is accessible by Microsoft sellers. So if they're searching in San Francisco for a data and AI partner, and you have a data and AI specialization in app modernization, holy Moses, you're the one that comes out in the dropdown. They're calling you. Okay. And that's what my guidance here is really to kind of think about, what do we focus on? Okay, now there's 1,000 other programs to focus on, but I think the only things to focus on are these things that I'm showing here on the screen, which are solution partner designation, advanced specialization, co-sell offering in the marketplace, and then let's start using deal reg to really build our partnership base. This is going to unlock the bucket loads of money in incentives and back-end compensation. It's also going to unload a new market for you to go ahead and not tap into. It's not exactly work like a tap, but it's a new market where, you know, you do well by a couple sellers and you show them that you are really their partner. Now the sellers can think about, well, hey, I want to, you know, ABC company over here did really well for us on the last deployment. Let me talk to my other 2 customers. Okay. Let me also give you an example of a conversation we recently had with a Microsoft seller and a partner. Okay, so this partner had a municipality, okay, that it was actually a city, right? A big city. It was actually delivering services to. So what we did is they already did the implementation, but the partner is running co-pilot workshops right now, right? That's a big thing. Okay, co-pilot workshops. So the customer says, hey, can we get some money from Microsoft, you know, to maybe offset the cost of these workshops? So what we did is we created a deal registration, right? And we tied it to their solution partner designation and their advanced specialization. And we created a deal reg where we requested Microsoft help. Okay, so we get the meeting with the Microsoft seller who's responsible. In that meeting, we introduce the partner and why the partner is good. We talk about they have these specializations, they have this advanced specialization, and they have co-sell ready offers, and they like to work with Microsoft sellers. We explain that, right? And then we also explain to that seller, hey, we're first to market with Copilot jumpstarts. Really? That's amazing. Okay, awesome, right? So what was interesting about that conversation and why this is so important is what we extrapolated was after we talked about that particular customer, and it was like, oh yeah, there are some end customer investment funds to actually get. The beauty of it, okay, was that then the seller says, well, actually I manage 7 other municipalities. They would love a workshop that you're doing. Do you think we could do that for them? And if you think about the partner, if they could have done cartwheels in place, they would have done cartwheels, because now, they were already working with one municipality, but they ended up leveraging that into something that's going to be really impactful, right? They're going to now be able to get into 5 other things. However, they knew a couple things, right? We knew that they had to have all these things together first. Then we also know that one of the big solution plays for Microsoft sellers right now is Copilot, data and AI. So we brought the right things to the table. And that's how you have to think. You have to think about the psychology, right? It isn't just, hey, introduce me to a partner. What deals do you have? Which is, oh gosh, it happens all the time. Doesn't make any sense, not to me at least. So anyways, this is our guidance when it comes to working with Microsoft sellers. So, all right, so that is our first introduction, and we're going to get into the actual solution partner designations. In just a minute. We're going to take a break. We're at the hour, so we're going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break. We'll come back at 6 minutes after the hour. So thank you so much. And then Nelson, welcome to the program. Really appreciate you coming. Nelson, we're going to have your workbook and your PowerPoint listed in the chat window. So go to the chat window. There's a little link to your name. Click on that, and you'll have access to the PowerPoint and the workbook. All right. So we'll be back at 1:56, and I'm going to go ahead and put on some break music here while we are waiting. I'll go ahead and share that screen. One moment. Okay. 2:06. We'll be back. All right, we're going to start in about 2 minutes here. Nelson, I'm curious, can you just tell us maybe a little bit about your company and maybe why you came to the to this workshop? You can come off mute if you can. If you can't come off mute, you can just put it in the chat window. Oh, okay. Thank you, Nelson. Thank you very much. Okay. Really appreciate that. Okay, 1 more minute and we'll get started on the SMB paths for solution partner designations. All right. Okay, 2:06. Let's go ahead and get started here. Let me just go ahead and do one quick thing. And all right, so let's talk about introducing the SMB paths for solution partner designations. This is going to be really great because now we're going to debunk some of the things that you've been working on. So let me just, okay, so we're introducing the new SMB paths for Azure designations. There's 4 things to understand here. So the existing designations, the way they sit, the 6 that we have, right? So we have modern work, we got security, data and AI, apps and infrastructure, excuse me, and data mod, right? Those are the 4 solution areas. Those are going to stay the same. Okay, but now we have a new path. We have a SMB path or an enterprise path. Very interesting, SMB or enterprise, because the reality was a lot of the ways that our solution designations are set up right now, it's could be interpreted as it's only for big partners, right? But we also have some partners that actually have some smaller Azure environments, right? So there's a new path. You can go one way or the other. Now, they've adjusted the requirements, which I think Crystal's going to be really happy about, right? Or the rest of you are going to be happy about, right? On how to actually get this solution partner designation. They've lessened the requirements for certifications, but then also kind of reduced the levels for net customer adds. okay, for a little bit. So you can kind of go that way. And then lastly, they made some updates to the deployments area where now virtual machines are going to actually count, okay, towards your enablements, right? As well as your usage, right? So that's going to be really helpful so that we're introducing the 4 paths. Okay, now, here are some of the challenges that we've actually seen, right? We talked about this a little bit. A lot of our partners are confusion as to what the solution partner designations are for. Well, we talked about that earlier, right? With the history, now we understand it. You know, what is the goal for the new SPD track? And I think the goal is really to make sure that we, as partners in this community, as IT providers, are up to speed with the latest and greatest information that's going out there, right? We want to make sure that we're better at what we do, right? We've also heard, you know, the skilling requirement is seemingly impossible to get. Is very difficult. However, we actually have an offer. It's called Skilling as a Service. Actually, we're going to share that with you a little bit later. But if you are not meeting your certification because of skilling, we'll talk to you afterwards. We have some options to actually get some certified individuals working for you and actually get your solution partner designation within 30 to 45 days of skilling, if that's the only thing you need. So I can help you with that, no problem. You know, what are the benefits? So some of our partners are saying, you know, what are the benefits to aligning with Microsoft? How do I maximize this effort? You know, Partner Center sometimes is too hard to understand. So we're gonna debunk a bunch of these things, right? And really help us get to where we want to go. With that being said, I need to take a quick break. I need to turn on the air conditioning. The lights here are crazy. So 1 second, be right back. All right, sorry about that. The lights here at the studio are crazy. So they affect. There's a lot of heat going in there. Okay, so let's get back into it. Okay, so the first thing that we need to understand when we're looking about partner solution designations is actually some of the basics here. Where do you sit as a Microsoft partner? Where do you sit? Right. So there's the membership level, and that membership level is, hey, I want to be a partner. I signed up on partner.microsoft.com. I didn't do really anything else from that. I'm a network partner. Okay, great. That's level 1, right? Level 2 is partner success. So you decided, hey, I really want to figure this out. I got a indirect relationship with a CSP distributor, Arrow, right? Great company, right? So you worked with Arrow, you became a CSP distributor. Awesome. And then you bought what's called MAPS, which is Microsoft Action Pack subscribers, right? So then MAPS is $500 a year about, and you get like 5 free licenses, you get some Azure credits. It helps you kind of like start the business, right? And but the main thing is actually getting with an indirect CSP provider. So, and then the third level is solution partner designation, right? So that's where silver and gold used to be. Right now, the highest level attainment is advanced specializations or specializations in expert offerings. That's where we want to go. My guidance throughout this whole thing is I want to figure out what is the shortest, quickest path to being the very top, because if I'm an advanced specialization partner with Microsoft, it unloads buckets, cascades, waterfalls of potential dollars that you can use to help build your business. It's unbelievable. And in this section, I'm going to show you an example of a $100,000 deal, okay, working with Microsoft on VDI and what you can make as a solution partner designation. But if you had the advanced specialization, holy Moses, you can get 4 times the money you made as a solution partner designation. And I'm going to show you that. And then I'm going to start showing you how to stack, how to actually use workshops and Azure migration, monies to help you out. Okay. So I want to just kind of break it down. These are the 4 designations. Now, I think Robert had a question about, CSP and NCE and, a couple of things there. So there's, 3 ways, a route to market to actually working with Microsoft. So your customers can, buy directly over the web, right? So they can literally just get their credit card and go on the Azure.com website and spin up their own tenant and put the credit card down, and Microsoft just directly bills them, right? And as a partner, you're not going to see any incentives based on that because Microsoft is now billing, and you're not billing for that, right? The second avenue is through CSP, and that's Cloud Solution Provider Program. Now, that program, you actually align with a indirect provider, such as Arrow Distribution, okay? And what you do is now you're buying licensing through Arrow, okay? And then through Arrow, you're getting a margin. So, let's, for example, $20 E3 license, an old one, you might get it for $18, and then you're charging the customer MSRP. There's your margin. The $2 is your margin. Okay, that's what you're doing. That's just a round-up example. Now, if you buy it through CSP, you start getting incentives, okay, which is the back-end rebates. Okay, now in the past, you used to be able to do that on a month-to-month basis, but then NCE came out, New Commerce Experience, right? And that came out, gosh, 2 years ago. And instead of buying it on a monthly basis, now all of our customers buy it on a yearly program, all the cloud subscriptions on a yearly program, right? So you have to buy it through NCE. It's the new methodology. And most of our customers have made that conversion in April and March, or March, April, May is when the big push on NCE. So you might be out there talking to a customer that's aligned with another partner who has CSP licensing to another partner. Well, you can't convert that to you until they have their yearly renewal. That's what it is. Oh, now the third route to market is through what's called an enterprise agreement. Now these are the three main ones. An enterprise agreement is a contract that Microsoft spins up through their LARs. And I don't even know what the acronym stands for. LARs, local area resellers, I think. Basically,
large account rep.
Yeah, okay, that's right. Basically, they create a contract with Microsoft. It's a volume contract, kind of basically thing, right? It's okay. 500 seats and above all have EAs, okay, in enterprise agreements. But along with those enterprise agreements come like MAC commitments, okay. And what a MAC commitment is Microsoft Azure commitment, right? So a customer says, okay, I'm going to spend $10 million in Azure. Let's just, for example. And Microsoft says, well, hey, if you sign a MAC commitment, we'll cut it down to 8 million that you're there. But you owe us the 8 million at the end of the year. So what's interesting enough is some of these companies don't hit that 8 million. Maybe they only hit 7 million, right? Well, then they have to stroke a check for $1 million to Microsoft regardless. But Microsoft in its infinite wisdom says, hey, you know something, we're going to help our customer base, right? So we're going to allow for a customer to go to our marketplace. Remember I was saying this is a big idea? They go to the marketplace and they can buy applications, right? They can go to Azure and spin up some applications from an independent software vendor. And let's say the cost of that service was $30,000 or $100,000, right? Well, if they buy it to the marketplace, they can reduce their MAC commitment, whatever that extra spend is, by that amount of money, right? So, wow, if you're an ISV, independent software vendor who's developing apps, you have to have your stuff in marketplace to actually allow that to happen. And what greater way of being able to go to a customer and saying, hey, you want to adopt this, right? But you tell me you need to find the money. Well, do you have a MAC agreement? And they say, yeah. And are you below water on it, right? That's the next question. And they say, well, yeah, we're a little bit. Well, you can say, well, hey, no problem. If you purchase our services through Microsoft, your MAC commitment that you're already set aside can be reduced, and that's the money you already set aside, so they'll pay us, for this application. Wow, holy Moses, that's cool, right? But we need to be able to do that. So the important thing about marketplaces is that. So enterprise agreements, okay, are important because that's typically 500 seats and above. That's what it is, okay? That's the thing to understand. So any questions on this one?
No.
Okay, great, thank you. And then Robert, does that make sense how I explained the NCE and CSP?
Yeah, that's exactly how I've understood it myself. You're reaffirming it.
Okay.
The one thing on the new customer experience is that, like, through one of our distribution partners, I get a better price if I do a 12-month commit, but I can still go month to month on many of the other licensing. So like my E3, my E5, so I don't have a full 1 year commit. It's just month to month, but I pay a higher premium.
So yes, so when Microsoft came out with the yearly agreement, they also said, well, we do understand that there's some customers that really don't want to do that. So there's a 20% premium on that. Now, but the thing is, I would say that almost all your customers should have a portion of their licensing under month to month. And what I mean by that is a lot of our customers fluctuate, right? They add and delete 10 to 15%, right? And so how I would suggest it is I would take 80% of the seats and I'd put that on a 1-year commitment. Now, the other 20%, you have to look at their seasonality, first of all, right? So we're trying to plan, okay? Because maybe in the long term, if that delta is on month to month, but they don't need to commit to having that delta, right? So actually, that's a strategy that we talk to our partners about. Like, okay, hey, just it's a little way to kind of massage this here because we also want some flexibility for our customers. What's worse is our customer comes back and says, hey, I want to get rid of these 60 licenses. You say, well, you have a commitment, right? It's tough to be able to say that, right? So if you're differentiating yourself by saying, hey, I got some options here, let's just look at it a little bit differently, right? So that's just a thought for the NCE and monthly. Cool.
Yeah, that works out nicely.
Yeah, it totally does when you think about it that way. Okay, let's get into now. There's benefits. What are the benefits for getting the solution partner? If you haven't decided to do it, what are the benefits? Okay, 3 different pillars here. Encouraging business development. So you're going to get IURs, bulk credits, $6,000 if you're getting the Azure Solution Partner Designation. You're also going to get 100 licenses of Microsoft E3, some dynamic, and we'll get into that in a second. But you're going to get a bunch of IURs, which is awesome. That helps you build your business. Secondly, Microsoft is going to help you with increasing customer reach by placing your organization higher ranked than partners that do not have the Solution Partner Designation. Holy smokes, right? That's awesome, right? And then also you get marketing benefits for it. But the third piece is also expanding the technical skilling and enablement. And the reason why you want to get the Solution Partner Designation is precisely because we want to make sure that our technical resources understand what they're doing, right? And we get better at what we're doing and we become repeatable, right? We reduce our utilization rate, which increase profitability. The silent killer, we need to get rid of that silent killer, okay, with that. So those are the 3 pillars there. Now, great slide to understand here. So on the left is growth resources. So Microsoft wants to give you growth resources. So they'll give you some enablement stuff, right? There's a bunch of resources, like we have a Cloud Week if you need help getting your people certified. Okay, that's coming up, right? There's also go-to-market resources. So there's ways of finding net new customers through their marketing stuff. So that's basic, right? But look on the right. There are things called Microsoft Commerce Incentive, MCI. And there's Microsoft MCI engagements. So what those are like doing a technical readiness assessment or doing a threat assessment, right? You can go to a customer and say, hey, I want to do a threat assessment for you. And let's say there's another company that says they want to do the same thing, but your cost is $5,000, their cost is $5,000. Well, Microsoft has a workshop MCI engagement that says, hey, we'll pay you $5,000 if you do this assessment, right? There's proof of execution documents, but what better way than to go to your customer and say, hey, we can do this, and Microsoft would love to fund it. You qualify. Holy Moses. Okay, that's a good thing. Now, on top of that, though, the incentives is really getting to the next one, all the way to the right. If you have a solution partner designation as well as a specialization, now you open up the buckets, the bathtubs of money. Okay, because Microsoft says, hey, we're not going to pay you just for the incentives or the workshops, that your jumpstarts that you're doing. We're also going to help you with the whole infrastructure migration cost. So let's say your infrastructure migration cost is $20,000, and you have a client and you're competing against another one, right? And you're going in, they're like, hey, what are your installation costs? You're like, it's $30,000. But I do believe Microsoft will invest 20 of that thousand because we are an advanced specialization partner, right? So you get to pitch that while your other competitor is like, yeah, our costs are $50,000. And then now are we differentiated? Okay, big time here, because the customer then asks that partner, hey, do you have an advanced specialization, or do you have access to this money? And the partner says, I didn't think it was important. Yes, it is. So on the right-hand side is where all the money is. And that's why I want to focus on getting you guys to advanced specialization. So now let's look at, okay, these are the benefits. You get an Azure one, holy Moses, we get 6,000 a year, right? We're gonna get 25 Visual Studio Enterprise subscriptions. We're gonna get access to Dynamics to run your own company on CRM. Unbelievable, right? Next is Power BI. We're gonna get 100 Power BI users, 100 M365 E3 users. Now, if you have a modern workplace advanced specialization, you're going to get 100 M5 users, right? So there's a little bit difference, nuances. But with a modern work solution partner designation, you do not get Azure credits. Okay, so one or the other, right? Then we get 20 users of Project Online, some Visio, and then we get 100 Windows Server licenses. I'm like, who's going to use 100 of those suckers, right? We use 1 or 2 of ours that we get as a middly tiny partner that only has 1 client who is himself, right? But really cool because these are the solutions that now we have, or these are the benefits that we get if we get an Azure Solution Partner designation. Okay, so let's talk about dollars and cents. This is important. Okay. On the left side, we have what you would get if you have the solution partner designation, okay? On the right side is what you can also get if you have an advanced specialization. Okay, let's think about this. So on the left side, you get your solution partner. Now you're opening up to back in incentive. So you're gonna get 4, now this scenario is a $100,000 Azure virtual desktop deal. So about $8,600 a month, okay? So that's just the example. 4% plus 2%, the accelerator, that's 6%. And then you get your margin for the Azure consumer revenue of 15% from your distributor. Awesome, 21% on 100,000. What does that equate to? 21 grand. That's what I can make on that. That's amazing, right? But hold on a second. Now, if you're an advanced specialized partner, okay, you can get money for a workshop, 5,000. But then you can also get money to do the deployment, right? Not 80 to 100, but anywhere between 15, 20 to $200,000. All depends, right? It all depends how big the deal is, right? But then on top of that, because you're advanced specialized, Microsoft says we got a bounty for you because you brought in a net new virtual desktop VDI customer. We're going to give you $9,000 just for doing that. And oh, by the way, we'll also give you 30% of Azure consumer revenue over that attributable 1-year program. Holy Moses. Okay, so now I'm just giving you percentages, but you want to see what it looks like when it comes to dollars and cents? This is the dollars and cents. This is the money slide. Okay, look at that. First year incentives as a solution partner designation is 21,000. Okay, but now if we get advanced, okay, we get to ask for migration, 5,000 for the solution assessment, 15 grand on a small deployment, right? So we get 20,000, but they also give us 9 grand in a bounty, and then 30,000 on the ACR. 30 grand. So now, if you're an advanced specialization partner for a VDI deployment of 100 grand, you can get $80,000 as opposed to 21,000. Okay, quick temperature check. Crystal, did you know that? Did you know there was that much money in advanced specialization?
I did not.
Okay, and it's pretty amazing, right? There's that much money there.
Yep.
Yeah. How about you, Nelson? Did you or not Nelson? I'm sorry, Robert. Just want to quickly temperature check. Did you know there was that much money in it?
No, I didn't know that the accelerators went that far. I mean, when you said 4x, that was one thing, but obviously there's pillars, but that's nice.
Yeah, right. So now you can kind of see why my guidance is, hey, we need to focus on what's going to make us the most bang for the buck. If we're going to align with Microsoft, well, let's go all in. Let's just focus on that. Let's forget a lot of this other superfluous stuff, but let's focus on becoming an advanced specialization, not just a solution partner designation. Okay, so all right, let's move ahead. Okay, so the next thing is, how do we attain it? Okay, there's points that are available. Okay, so there's a minimum of 70 points that have to be earned, and there are a total of 100 points possible across all categories. Now, that's the same as it's always been. It's going to be the same when this rolls out, July 1st. Okay, and you have to score in each of the 3 different buckets. So you have to score in performance, you have to score in skilling, but also in customer success to find a combination of 70 points. So if you have 30 points in performance, 30 points in customer success, and you get 10 points in skilling, boom, we've got our 70 points, and that's how we're getting our solution partner designation, okay? But they've lowered the bar because currently it's a little too high. Okay, so let's get into the eye test. There's some nuances here that I want to kind of just help you understand. And then I'll make sure that we're all good. I'll just actually ask from the group here, just give me a reaction. If I say, hey, are we good to go? Like, you understand this? Just give me a reaction kind of like that, the little thumbprint, right? Okay, so the things to look at here, we have 3 pillars. We have the solution partner, right, for data and AI. Now, what's interesting about this is it shows you how many points you can get. 30 for net customer adds, 40 for immediate certs, 20 for usage growth, and deployments 10. But if you notice, on the right-hand side of that, for digital app and infrastructure, there's another thing called advanced certs. So the difference here is you're going to start scoring on data and AI as long as you have immediate certs. That's the important thing. Okay. Now, in these other, like infrastructure, you don't get any points until you have both the intermediate cert and have one of the advanced certs. That's when the scoring starts. So you could theoretically have 30 points in net customer adds and 30 points in usage growth, and you're like, well, I have 2 immediate certs, I should get 8 points for that. But no, they don't count yet until you have at least one of the advanced certs. Okay, that's the difference between these 3 right here. Okay, is you have to get, or the other 2, you have to get 2 advanced certs to start your scoring. Okay, I'm going to pause here and just see for a reaction. Does everyone understand how I explained it that way? So I'm giving the thumbs up. Claudia gives a thumbs up. Okay, cool, awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. For those who haven't given me the thumbs up, are there any questions?
No.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's go into the next piece. Okay. Now, this is where we see the difference. Okay, our first foray, our interest in seeing the difference here. Okay, so there's 2 paths. There's enterprise and SMB path. So the enterprise is what we currently see right now, which says, okay, for net customer adds, the customers who qualify have to have $1,000 or more in Azure consumer revenue to qualify in the last 2 months, with $0 in both of the baseline months, which is weird that they say that, but it's $1,000. Okay. The majority of our partners in SMB are working with environments that are between 500 and 1,000. So what they did is they said, okay, no problem. We understand that. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower the bar to $500. $500 is the minimum, up to 1,000. Then they're saying, okay, now if 80% of your customers are less than or between 500 and 1,000, you automatically will be pushed into the small SMB path. Okay, that's what you're doing. You fall into SMB path. Now, and the thing is, you could have 5 customers, right? And think about this: 5 customers, and 4 of them are $600, but 1 of them is $1,600, right? Well, you're still going to be at 80%. You're in good shape. Okay, you don't have to worry about it too much. You're in good shape because one is going to fall off, and it's going to be really the majority of your partners or your customers, excuse me, that are there. They're going to get you to the SMB path. Okay, so that's net customer adds, right? And they look at the net customers adds added over the trailing 12 months. Partners can earn 10 points for each incremental net customer add, up to 3 max net customer adds. So we're only just looking for 3. Okay, that's all we're going to do. 3. All right, let's go to the next one. I'm going to skip this because I have a better slide that explains it better. Okay, let's talk about the skilling requirement, which is sometimes difficult. Does anybody here have a problem with the skilling? Like they don't have the people to get like the certifications? I'm curious if anybody wants to provide any feedback.
We looked at the Azure one, and our guys were like, they kind of looked at the classes and the tests that were there, and like, we will never use this stuff. They're like, this is so advanced that they want you to get certified on. So we didn't follow that path. We went with the smaller one. I think we did the modern workplace one. So we don't. I mean, could our guys do it? Probably, but it'd take a lot of time and a lot of time away from stuff. And as it was the path that we ended up getting certified on, we had assigned it to our project manager because he does all the Office 365 and Azure kind of projects as well and implements them. And it took him forever just because, we're so busy with other stuff. But the way we look at it is we kind of don't want anybody outside the organization doing it, only because we're supporting our clients. So we need to know what we're doing.
Okay. So what's interesting about what you said, was maybe what we need to do is help our technicians understand how this is going to help them. Because right away, yeah, more search. Your technicians probably have 100 different other technologies and line items to learn and figure out, right? So there's really no time. Like, oh my God, right? But how fast Azure is innovating, we need to have the right people that are doing that. Now, using an outside resource, I agree with you on the outside resource. However, maybe that outside resource can give advice to your current resources, right? They may not know. Right, so maybe using an outside resource could be good in the short term while they are getting those certification tests. Does that make sense? How I explained it?
Yeah.
But then we also have to do a couple other things. We gotta figure out, how do we free up your technical resources time? And I'll tell you, the very first thing that we want to do is educate your sellers, your account executives that are on your team. Make sure that they have Azure fundamentals, SC fundamentals, and data and AI fundamentals, because you want them to go out and do all the discovery appointments. The problem with your technical resources, I bet you, they're being brought on a lot of discovery calls, and they end up running the discovery call. They end up doing all the planning and putting that all together. But the problem with that is that that's not billable hours, right? And then it's taking up their time. So we actually need to be advocates for our technical resources, but also inside of our company, kind of put some lines, draw some lines between sales and technical, right? To like push the sales people. Hey, you guys got to get more educated on this stuff. So with that being said, let's talk about this. So currently today, everyone's an enterprise partner, right? So you have to get 2 Azure admin associates and 2 Azure solution experts, unique individuals. Then after you get those 4, you met the prerequisites, and then you get 1 Azure scoring certification. Now when you get the 5th one, that's when your points start accruing. So in this case, you would have 16 points on the left with one of these to give you 20 points. Done. Easier said than done, as Crystal just mentioned, right? Easier said than done. But now, for the SMB path, a little bit different. So SMB path says, all you have to do is get 1 Azure admin associate and 1 Azure solution architect. Then after that, because those are the basics, we need to get you 1 on database administration associate, right? Or actually in, infrastructure, they can get the virtual desktop infrastructure associate and meet that requirement, which actually would be relevant if you guys do any VDI, right? So not irrelevant, but I mean, like Azure data scientist. Now that's for data and AI. That makes sense, but that doesn't make sense for, majority of our partners, right? How many data scientists do we need, right? Or how many do we actually get, right? And use, right? How do we use them, right? So important thing to understand on the skilling paths is they've really kind of lowered the bar to allow this. Now, these changes will be reflected, I think, January July 1st in your partner center, and you will automatically be calculated. Okay, so it's not going to be, oh, you have to nominate, self-nominate, or do that. Okay. The next one is requirements for customer success. So in the requirements for customer success, we have deployments. And the deployments are actually not that hard to get anymore because we actually now allow for virtual machines to be counted. Okay, so you spin up a virtual machine, boom, it's a deployment. Awesome, right? And you'll see in my partner center today when I'm doing the walkthrough, my deployments are met. Now I'm a French fry partner because actually I don't sell directly to consumers. I have my own. I have another company called Azure Direct that is just a sandbox environment to develop hands-on labs, right? And with that, I'm nailing all my deployments. It's crazy because I'm keep turning on and turning off virtual machines, right? My growth is not good because I'm actually been reducing lately. But those are the requirements. So we have deployments and then usage growth. I want to debunk this theory here. In a lot of the literature that you see, it says you need 20% year-over-year growth. That's a misnomer. Okay, it's not that you have to have 20%. It's just you get 20 points you get a point for every percentage growth in ACR. So let's say your customers are only growing by 11 or 12%. That's fine. That's 11 or 12 points that you're going to actually get. But the main thing is, yes, we want to kind of focus on consumed growth and what we can do with that, right? How do we actually do that, right? Is consumed growth. We want to make sure we do that. Now, some of the numbers, there's a 19% compound annual growth rate with Azure organically. So your customers probably are increasing their Azure consumption in one way or the other organically. So it shouldn't be too much of a heavy lift, but I'm going to show you a great program that's going to help you identify next logical workloads for your Azure customers that will help you with identifying growth opportunities, which are really, really important. Like, how do we do that, right? Okay, so that's the requirements for customer success. I'm going to pause here to see, are there any questions or are we good to go?
No questions on my end.
All right, I'm good to go. Robert's good to go. Claudia, all right. And Igor, he's definitely good to go. He's, we're changing it to Portuguese, right? All right. So let's move the next slide. Okay, so a couple things to understand with your alignment here. If you have less than $1 million and 80% of your customers are in SMB, you are in the SMB path. That's how you're going to qualify. If you have over $1 million in total ACR and less than 80% are an SMB, you automatically are an enterprise partner. Same thing goes with the customers in SMB, SMC. Now, if 80% are in enterprise and you have under $1 million, well, you're an enterprise partner. If they're over $1,000, and if you have over $1 million in Azure consumer revenue, you're just an enterprise partner. So basically, what this is really built for are the partners that have under $1 million in Azure consumer revenue, okay, and are focusing on just some smaller customers, right? And how do we actually add them and turn them on? Okay, that is what the partner alignment is with that. Okay, I'm going to pause. I know we keep asking for reactions, but are there any questions here, or can I move forward? And I'm just going to give the thumbs up to move forward. All right. Okay, let's move forward. Perfect. All right, Crystal's there too. Awesome. Okay. Now, this is included in your PowerPoint deck, so we don't really have to get too deep into this. This is just, okay, maybe you're printing this out and you're putting this in the break room for your technical resources. Hey guys, we got to figure this out, right? And this is basically saying, okay, for digital app and innovation and infrastructure, these are the maximum contributions I can put towards getting my SPD. On the left-hand side, you're going to see maximum contribution for enterprise path, and on the right-hand side, maximum contribution for SMB path. So if you look at it, it's only 3 customer adds of ACR under 500 or 500 to 1,000. That's not a lot over a year, right? 4 unique individuals with 1 prerequisite will get you 40 points. That's sweet. 20% ACR growth, give you 20 points, and then 5 new deployments, which is turning on 5 virtual machines. That'll get you to 10. That'll get you, 100 points. But we only need to get 70. So I just want you to think about this particular slide and think, okay, maybe I'll just pin this on the wall and we'll kind of work towards getting that. Okay, so let's go into requirements for data and AI. So if you want to be a data and AI partner, these are the same thing. I just have these all listed for you. No problem. What you need to get. And if you're having trouble with the skilling requirement, we can help you get those people cited for you. And that's where you need to weigh. You need to weigh the cost versus the benefit, right? Because if you're getting $6,000 in Azure consumer revenue, and now you're turning on all these new opportunities for incentives on Azure consumer revenue, as well as stackable workshops, then it's like, well, maybe I really need to do this, right? The cost of maybe paying an outside resource is 10% of the ROI, the investment that I'm going to get back if I have that, right? So I think this is where we think about the scales, right? We have to start weighing in what we think is relative, right? What we think is positive, right? So, what is profitable? Well, what should we spend our time in? And frankly, I really believe that if we got to go all in, we got to get our people up to speed. If we're going to be selling any Azure, my gosh, we need to know how to do this. So, and then you're going to go to the advanced specialization. I keep talking about that. All right. Second to last slide in this section is getting your teams ready. Cloud Weeks for partners. Okay. So really cool program coming out June 10th to the 14th are Azure Cloud Weeks. And basically, if you have folks that are training, that are looking to get a little bit more instructor-led, hands-on labs, exam preparation, okay, they can go to this Azure Cloud Weeks, okay, which basically will kind of give them a streamlined format to prepare their certification. They can come take a look at this. Now, we're also offering today, we're actually conducting Azure Fabric hands-on labs. So if anyone in your organization, this is for the people who are attending here, anyone in your organization that wants to take, go do one of these hands-on labs and actually learn how to deploy an actual Fabric implementation, including using Copilot and Azure AI, come to this lab. It's free of charge. It's only for Microsoft partners, okay? I'll have that in the survey. There's a little checkbox in the survey that says, please add me to that. So when you complete the survey, we'll make sure that you're included in those invites for that actual workshop. So just want to let you all know, just in case. It is so cool. I went through it about a month ago to get trained on it. And I can deploy a Fabric data warehouse right now. I know how to do it. I know how to grab, all the unstructured data points, bring them in, throw them into a one lake, and then, turn them into all structured data, right? And then massage and manipulate and turn on Copilot and machine learning and blah, 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 right? All the cool stuff. So just wanted to kind of share that out. All right. So call to action. What is our call to action today? Is, okay, we learned about the SMB path, right? We assessed the score, but later on, through the partner walkthrough, we're going to go into those specific points. Then we need to leverage the Cloud Weeks. Maybe that's going to help us get the certifications, okay? And then lastly, we want to attain these designations. We've got to figure out, how do we move forward? How do we get maybe rid of those legacy gold or silver, and then go ahead and attain and unlock these benefits? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pause there before we get into our next section. Our next section is actually going to be Partner Center walkthrough. Where we're going to show you the salient points of Partner Center so that you walk away and you no longer have to hunt and peck for a lot of things. With that being said, I want to just open it up. Any last questions on Solution Partner Designation? Let's see. Okay, maybe feedback. Okay, and I'll ask, and I'm sorry, Robert, to pick on you here, but Robert, after seeing the solution designations, does it seem more attainable for you to get one of these than it maybe was in the past?
It definitely seems more clear as where a lot of times you end up finding yourself in the middle of the woods and you don't know whether to go north, south, east, or west, just because there's so much. This helps give some direction to help you go in a unified, correct direction.
Cool. Awesome. That's really, actually, frankly, that's really my goal, is to help you like find this path. Let's go down this path, right? And like that is what it is. So awesome. Thank you for the feedback. I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. So let's go ahead. We're coming up on the next hour. So we're going to take another break. We're going to come back at 3 p.m., which is 12 minutes from now. I need to get some tea so I can get through the next hour and a half after that. So the cool thing is now we're going to do some clicking, actual clicking. So in the meantime, on break, if you could do me a favor, if you can go to partner.microsoft.com and then just sign in and go into Partner Center, because we're actually going to be clicking through these buttons. I'm going to show you, we're going to stop the madness of trying to find stuff, because I'm going to give you the keys to the castle. Okay, awesome. We'll be back in about 12 minutes. So we'll see you at 3. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just before we get your take, I want you to hear Mayorkas, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, with Neil.
All right, we are back. So our next section that we're going to be talking about is the Partner Center checklist and walkthrough. Now, in your PowerPoints, inside the folders that you're provided, you're going to have walkthroughs for Partner Center, for Marketplace, for some of the other stuff that we have, the co-sell ready, right? And you're going to have access to that, okay? So in each one of these, if I'm going to share my screen real quick again, you're going to see in the walkthroughs, we actually have the arrows pointed to where you need to click. Okay, I'm really keen on trying to help our partners understand this stuff. So we'll actually you'll have that now. Just for purposes of a demonstration today, basically I'm just going to pull up my actual partner center, and we're going to be going off of my partner center. But if you could make sure that you have yours set up, then you guys can follow me, and then we can check on a few things. Okay, so the first thing, if we look at partner center, there's some really key things, and I'm also we're gonna start an exercise called an audit, and this is a customer audit that I advise all of my clients, all my partner clients, to do once every 6 months. So actually, the first thing we'll do, if you could go to your desktop, create a folder, okay, and the folder needs to say May 2024 audit. Okay, so that's going to be the folder, because we're going to be downloading 5 different reports today to put into that to start doing some cross-referencing, okay, to figure out what's what do we get, what type of incentives do we have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so with that being said, after you create that and you go to, you sign into partner.microsoft.com, you just go to the dashboard, and we should be in here. Now, if you don't see all of the boxes, okay, that means that you don't have permissions, okay, to that. Let me just see, does anybody here need me to show them the permissions on how to elevate? So I can do that right now. Just give me a reaction. Give me a thumbs up if you want me to show you about how to elevate permissions. That'd usually be a real start. Okay, well, then we don't need that. We all got permissions then. We all got the access to all these boxes. Cool. Okay, so with that being said, listen, the first thing we're going to click on is benefits. So go ahead and click on benefits. And I like this one because the very first thing it looks like, this is a little rudimentary, but that's fine because I can scroll down right away and I can look at, it says digital marketing content on demand, partner marketing center, or geo expansion readiness assessment. Now, these are all just things that are on demand for me, but the other thing I like to look at is I go up to the upper left-hand corner where it says Azure credits, and I click into that. It's just going to tell me where my credits are. So for this one, I've got $100 a month, and that's because I'm a MAPS partner, which I spend $500 a year, and I get access to 5 licenses and some Azure credits. Now, when you get the solution partner designation, you're going to see a lot more in here, about $8,600. Okay. Now, for like Crystal, and you mentioned that you already have the modern work attainment. So if you go over to software, okay, if you click into software, under mine, it says I basically have 5 licenses, 10 licenses, 10 endpoint activations. You'll probably see you have 100 under that one. So that's where you're going to see just some differences between mine. Now, I'm going to apologize for the future because mine is going to look really weak, my partner center, because I don't really have any customers. So that's what we're, just want to make sure. Okay, let's go back to home. Okay, so our first exercise is we're actually going to go to our customers. Okay, number 1, hit on customers. And when we click into customers, the first thing I want you to do when you get to customers is just take a quick glance at what you got, but I want you to go see this little button that says export. I want you to go ahead and hit export. Okay, when you export that, you're going to get a download. And what I want you to do, take that download and put that into your partner, your audit folder that we just created. Okay, so with that being said, in the audit folder that we just created, okay, we're going to start there first. And then the reason why we're going to start there is what we find 5 to 8% errors with the customers or the client, the partners we work with, meaning that if you have 20 customers that you have, for some reason, only 18 of them are showing up. Okay, so this is the first place we go. The second place we're going to go after this is you're going to call your distributor, Arrow Distribution, love those guys, or Pax8 or Ingram or Synnex Tech Data, whatever they are, right? And you're going to say, hey, I want to download my customer list. Okay, so that's going to be the second report you're going to do, and you're going to put that into the audit folder. Because what we want to do, the very first exercise, is we actually want to cross-compare. We want to see what's going on. And it's not Ingram's fault. It's really not even Microsoft's fault. You just think about the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of customers that are being kind of, there's always a little bit of breakage somewhere. So we first need to identify that, okay, inside this. Now, the next section that we want you to look at over here is where it says administer. Okay, so GDAP, granular designation access, right? Permissions, right? Gosh, I've messed that one up. Basically, what Microsoft has implemented, and this came about 2.5 years ago, I think, kind of just floated out. When we had the first wave of attacks in 2018 for security, right, where they're holding everybody hostage for Bitcoin and whatnot, one of the main targets actually was Microsoft partners, because you had full access to the Azure environments that you were working on. Microsoft came back and said, ooh, okay, we're going to kind of try to nip that in the bud a little bit by saying, you're only going to get access to the areas that that customer allows you access in. And so if you have a customer that has Azure, you're going to have to go in here, especially if you want to be an admin and actually do stuff inside there for them, and actually go to request an admin relationship. You click on that, and then you fill out these forms, and then you say, yes, okay. And you fill that out, and then you can assign and get access to your customer's administration. Okay, really important to understand that. So for example, my one customer, who is myself, is here. I push the button for Azure Direct, and then what do I find? I find that, okay, yeah, this is the admin relationship name, and this is what's going on and when it expires. Okay, cool, sounds good. Nothing too crazy, right, with that. Okay, so admin relationships. Now, let's go back to the home button, okay? And the next thing that I suggest we do here is we go ahead and click on earnings, okay? So click on earnings. Okay, now what's important here for earnings, okay, is it's going to give us our first look at what we're actually making based on the workloads that we're providing. And this is another area where we can start like kind of investigating, right? So when I typically look at earnings, I actually scroll down to this one says earnings distribution and trends. And this is where I do by earnings type, okay? Because this is going to help us understand what we might even have in co-op, what we can spend in co-op, right? We're going to learn that, right? Because it's based on what we process funds, unprocessed funds based on the workloads. We have that. But what I really want you to do, I want you to go over to reports, okay? Because this is the next file we're going to download and put into your partner, your folder. And we go to new report. Click on new report, and we're going to do earnings by default, okay? So by default, so we're going to get all of our earnings. CSV, I would always do 12 months, and then I would push next, filters, next, review and complete, next. Now, the issue is I don't have any earnings, so it's going to say no data to download, wah, 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 right? Okay, that sucks, but don't worry about it. For you, you'll have that, and then you can download that. It'll come in here in a report. I want you to download that and put it into your folder so that we can look at it at a later date, okay? Super, super interesting, okay? All right, next is we want to go back to home. Okay, now after we go to earnings, we want to go into this thing called incentives. So somebody asked me today about getting into incentives. I think that was Claudia, right? I think Claudia, incentives is the big thing, right? Give it a thumbs up. All right. Sounds good. Okay, so the first thing for incentives, okay, we want to just understand. I want you to then scroll down when you're at the overview page, and where it says Microsoft Commerce Incentive or any of the other incentives you have, make sure that you're enrolled, okay? If you're not enrolled, you don't get the incentives. So if you're a cloud partner, you need to make sure you're enrolled in that program, right? What are these? So it's going to actually tell you which ones you can enroll in. And if you do that, you're going to have to go in there. You might have to put in some banking information if you already haven't done it. But you want to make sure that you're enrolled. Now, as a MAPS partner, I'm the super small partner, right? The French fry, I can still enroll and get some incentives from this. Okay. Now, the next thing we want to do is I want to go ahead and click into MCI engagements. Okay. And now my question to the group here, has anybody actually visited this area of Partner Center and have used any of the programs inside of MCI engagements? Okay. We do not have any users. Okay. Now, remember this walkthrough too. When I say incentives is the place to be. Okay. So moving forward, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start going here right before we do any, I think before you even create the SOW for your customer, you want to come in here because we want to figure out what programs or incentives we can apply for to get money to help offset implementation costs or to run assessments or jump starts. Okay. Now, if you look at my screen, you're going to see 3 checkboxes because as a Maps partner, a French fry, I only get access to 3 different areas. Okay, so the first thing I'll do, and you all have access to this one, go ahead and click on M365 Customer Net New Ad. Crystal, okay. And okay, we can get to that in just a second, but good feedback there. So with this one, this basically says, okay, I come in here and I say, okay, if I net new ad, what's my additional detail? My incentive is Microsoft will give me 6% of billed revenue. This is awesome. This is amazing, right? Additional details, they're basically saying, okay, partner eligibility. Do you have to have a designation? No, I don't have to have a designation. So I can get this at least, right? But I do need to be an indirect provider and I need to be part of the AI Cloud Partner Program to get any of those incentives. Okay, cool, right? So that's one. Okay, so let me go back though. So now let's say you've gotten the partner solution designation for security. Okay, so we're like security. Okay, cool, right? So what I would do before you even do your SOW, working on a client, I would scroll down here and I'd be like, ooh, look at this, threat protection engagement. Let me click into here because it's going to give me a checkbox there. I click in there. Now look at this. So it says, okay, it's designed to create customer intent for purchasing or deploying advanced Microsoft security products. The threat protection engagement is delivered in a customer's production environment by discovering real security threats and vulnerabilities, right? So the activity requirements is identify key objectives and requirements, conduct discovery of threats and vulnerabilities, use customers' existing licenses, and then provide recommendations. Pretty simple. Or if you want to do a attack simulation, very simple. So now what qualifies you? That you have solution partner designation in security. Okay. Now there's customer qualification, okay, that are in there, but look at what you can get. Active payment, and we're all in market A, $6,500. Actually, I'm sorry, I think Igor, I think you might be in market B. Let's see, where's Brazil? Brazil's market B. Okay, so for Brazil, you're getting $4,000. Okay, but now we can get $6,500. So think about that, right? Okay, so now let's say I go back to MCI engagements, and let's say I've done, I get the incentive, but I also get the a solution assessment. But now I want to deploy Azure. Okay, and now let's say I actually have the solution partner designation, but I also got the advanced specialization. Okay, so after you get the advanced specialization, all of these things will start lighting up. So for example, if I have an infra database migration, let's say it's a medium-sized one, okay? Basically says, Microsoft says, okay, if your migration is anywhere between 125 to 250,000 a year in Azure consumer revenue, okay, we want to help you deploy these services by providing you access to money to do the deployments. Okay, so if you look at this, it says, okay, but partner qualification, you must have an Azure specialization of infrastructure and database migration to Microsoft Azure, or be an Azure expert MSP. Now, what you can qualify for, look at this, $35,000. that you can get access to actually deploy. So what better way of being able to say, hey, let's stack these, okay? And then let me go to my customer with a proper SOW that says, hey, in order to deploy this, it's going to cost us about 45 grand to do it. The customer says, ooh. And then the customer has a couple other proposals, right? And they're all about 45, 50 grand. We're all at the same area. And then you come back and say, well, because we're an advanced specialized Microsoft partner, Microsoft will invest 35,000 into this project. What do you say? Should we do it? So what I'm trying to get at, okay, with this area is I'm trying to get at, this is the place to go when you're thinking about your incentives on what you should kind of stack together. So moving forward, as you get these solution designations and whatnot, I want to make sure that our first step, when we have an opportunity that actually, you're going to start putting together a proposal for, go into MCI and start clicking through and see if any of this stuff applies. And if it does, then you go ahead and nominate your actual partner, okay? And for example, if I want to nominate, let me go to cybersecurity assessment. So I'm in the cybersecurity assessment, right? And it tells me I need to be, what's my eligibility? Solution partner designation and security, okay? But basically, it'll actually, when you go to customers, it'll list any customers that might be eligible, or you can add a customer here. And this is where you go to add them to see if they qualify. And what happens is after you add them, right, you're going to fill out this form, then you submit it, and Microsoft will take a quick glance at the form and come back and say, yeah, that customer's eligible. Go for it. You're eligible. You did it. These are the proof of execution documentation that you need to have, and we'll go from there. So that's really where this, where MCI engagements really work for you, and how these incentives really help you build your business. Now, I'm going to pause there. Claudia, if you're back, did that make sense to you on the incentives, or is there anything that you want me to repeat? Okay, or anybody else here? Anything you want me to repeat on MCI engagements? Okay, we'll get going. I guess, Crystal, you could probably tell me, this may make sense now, right? To go here and try to stack these depending on the solution that comes to your plate?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Excellent place. Okay, next, we want to go to co-op. So we're going to see who has co-op today. Everybody's going to get a chance to see if there's any money in the buckets that is just standing there. And I'll be curious to see if you actually have any by just giving me a thumbs up. We found money, okay? So we're going to do a co-op. And basically the first thing is, you'll know if anybody's ever created a claim right here, if anyone's ever done anything. And if you have blank, then nobody has. So I want everybody to go to create a claim. We click and create a claim. And we're going to select Microsoft Commerce Incentives, okay? That's what we're going to do. We're going to select the default category, default non-service funds. You may be wondering why it says non-service funds. Well, look at the drop-down. It's basically for hosting, and there's device resellers, right? I wish it was just say CSP, but that's okay. Select the location, that's your location, and then select a usage period. You're going to go and select most recent usage period, and then I want you to go here. It says select the solution area. We're going to click in modern work, security, infra, maybe these are the areas that I have, I can get funds for, okay? So right now for Crystal, I think it'd only be modern work, okay? But then you push continue, okay? Now, when you push continue, the main thing to understand here, okay, is whether you have access or not. So for me, I can't go any further because it says you have no funds to claim for this offering. Okay. Now, if I had funds to claim, it would allow me to continue. Okay. Who here does it say I allow you to continue? Give me a thumbs up if it said allow me to continue. I'm curious if anyone else got funds. We all got no funds to claim? Oh my goodness. Okay, no problem. We'll do that. But this is where we have our first iteration of helping you understand that. Okay, so part of this too is maybe the reason why you're not getting claimed or you're not getting incentives is not because you don't have the solution partner or the goal attainment and whatnot. It's because your customers are not being attributed to your company. And that sometimes happens. Remember we talked about in the very beginning, we want to create an audit, right? Or we actually want to figure out if we are adding a customer or not, right? Or if the customer is actually giving us incentives. Okay, so this is the place to go. So remember when we said, okay, let's say we had 10 customers in the portal, and we notice that there's 13 customers in our distributors portal. We then take those 3 customers and we come here. We come to incentives, and we're going to add a customer. So see where it says the plus a button? We're going to add a customer there. Now we're going to do use or consume. Okay, build intent and partner activities, that's for CRM, but use and consume is going to be for modern work, or in Azure is going to be different. So click on use and consume. Okay. Now, this is where we're going to put the partner's name in there, right? So it could be Crancer Group. It could be, right? Partner location, we got that one. Give it a customer ID. It could be the naming, Crancer.us, and invalidate. And then we basically would push next, okay? So I'm going to put... okay, and then we would push next, right? What's going on here? Get late in the day. So we go next here. We would associate the workload, contact information will be put in there. Then we're going to have to upload our proof of execution that this actually is your customer. Okay. And then they send it off, and there's a nice email that goes, and the partner or the customer says, yes, they are, with our partner record. And now you become partner of record. And that's called CPOR. Okay. Extremely important to understand, because we want to make sure that we're getting attribution for all of the work that we're doing with Microsoft. Okay, now there's another claim that is important, okay, to understand. And that's when you're working with large organizations. So you're working with, let's say Citibank, okay? And Citibank's got like a $10 million Azure commitment, right? Now, does any one partner have the whole thing? No, there's probably 10 partners in there doing different areas of consumption, different areas of influence, right? So Microsoft says, okay, no problem. This is what we're going to do. We want you to claim the workload that you're actually working in, okay? And we want to give you credit, right? So if you don't have a lot of credits, but you're working on a bunch of bigger bigger customers, we want to make sure we do the same thing. So we're going to do the same thing. To get credit for customers that we don't actually sell licensing to. We're going to add a customer, and we're going to use and consume. Very same thing, okay? Now, claim name, partner location, customer tenant ID, and then you put, I claim for recognition only, and like to opt out of the incentive payment for this claim, okay? Because this is for net new partners, right? Or not net new partners, but partners that have large environments. Okay, that you want to get to. Now, there's another step that you actually have to do. It's called partner admin link. Okay, now this is for the Azure portal, right? We're going to actually click in. Actually, Phil is going to put in the window a good link to understand partner admin link. And I'll just explain it to you because it's hard to show it to you. Basically, when you have access to the Azure portal of your customer, you're going to go in there and you're going to run a script using PowerShell to run a script that's actually going to take your MPN ID and associate that with a particular workload. And then you're actually going to get the credit is going to cascade down to you. Now, in the last couple of years, you would get 2%, 1% incentive. Now, this year, you're no longer getting that incentive. You are just getting the 2%. I mean, you're getting zero. You're just getting recognition towards your small partner designations or your advanced specializations. Okay, as you get bigger and bigger and going for bigger and bigger clients, this becomes really important because a lot of times you don't get the attribution, which then doesn't qualify you for a lot of the incentives that we have here and how we're actually working it out. So that is customer claims. Okay, any questions, or can I move forward? And give me a thumbs up, any one of you, if I can move forward. Thumbs up. Claudia, thank you. Thumbs up. Okay. All right. Let's go to, all right. Thank you, everybody. All right. Let's go to home. I really appreciate your feedback, everyone. It helps me out. I'm talking for 4 hours. Whew. Okay. Earnings, incentives. Okay. Now, the last one I'm going to go to here, actually, second to last is membership. Go ahead and click into membership. Okay. So what's important about membership, okay, 2 areas. One, this is going to tell you what your status is right now. So I'm a Microsoft Action Pack subscription. That's me. I'm not a solution partner designation yet. If I was, it would tell me right here. Okay. Important to go ahead and understand that. Okay. And actually what I do is I take this and I put it into a notepad so I can use it later. Okay. But let's scroll down and let's talk about, this is where you find your solution partner overview. So I want everyone to scroll down on the left-hand side. I want everyone to click on the overview button. Yep. Overview. Awesome. Okay. So right now the whole purpose of this workshop is to talk about solution partner designations, right? So this is an important part. Okay. So right now, if you scroll down, you see the 6 solution areas, but on the bottom right, you'll see modern work. Look at this. It has SMB and enterprise. Cool. So this is the beta test to make sure it worked. Okay. Now, hopefully July 1st, all of the other solution designations will automatically have SMB or enterprise. And then we'll give you the, it'll automatically calculate to tell you which ones you qualify for based on the workloads. It's kind of cool. It's going to do that. Okay. But a couple of things to understand here. Let's go ahead, everybody, click into infrastructure. That's usually the one that most partners are like, okay, this is the one that we want to get. Okay, so let's click into infrastructure. And when we click into infrastructure, okay, right now it's going to tell us about our net customer adds or performance. It's going to tell us how many points we get in skilling. And then it's also going to tell us about customer success. Okay, now with that being said, okay, is performance, you can go into view details. So right now, okay, performance is based on $1,000 customers. Well, I don't have 1,000, but that's going to change. And this is going to tell us what our net customer adds are. Okay, nice and simple. Okay, now in skilling, okay, this is important to understand. Let's go to view details. And when we get into skilling, we're going to see this thing right here. How many certified individuals do you have that have the intermediate certs? I got 0 out of 5. But the reason why I have 0 out of 5 is because 3 of my people haven't aligned me as the partner of record for their cert. You gotta remember, your people, when they take a certification, it's their cert. It's not the company's cert. Okay. So we need to ask them to go into a learning profile and actually put in our organization. Okay. Put in our organization to make sure that we're getting credit for those certifications. Super duper important. Okay. And then you can scroll down, it'll tell you which ones are prerequisites. Azure admin, right? You need at least 2 individuals with Azure admin. Okay. Then you have the next ones, right? Azure network engineer, Azure Stack Hub, Windows Server hybrid administrative associate. Okay. Pretty simple stuff. So those are your immediate certifications. Okay. Sorry, I got a little bug, a little gnat over here. Awesome. Okay. So that is really what we need to work at. This gnat's killing me. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry. All right. So, okay, that was interesting. Okay, so that is the on the left-hand side. And if you want to go into any one of these, you can go into modern work, you can go into security, right? We can actually get through this, get into security, look at the actual law, you know, kind of look at the different points. Okay, understandable. Now we understand, right? Now, if we want to go to specializations, which is your next level, this is not necessarily the place that I would go. Basically, I have set aside a workbook for you that you can go there and get all your requirements. Very simple, very easy to go. But if we want to go click on Azure, it takes us straight to Azure and machine learning specialization. But if we go to the drop down, we can click into any one of these. So let's say we like, okay, I want to be a data warehouse migration and Azure expert, right? And it'll tell us what the current status it is, and in progress, qualifying, eligibility, performance, et cetera, et cetera. But I've got a better way to help you out with that. So just want to make sure that you have this in play. Okay, so that, let's go back to home. And the last one is referrals, super duper important, okay? Because this is where we start figuring out how to work with Microsoft sellers, okay? We need to use this engine right here. After we've published our offer to the marketplace, then we actually will have co-sell opportunities to either register, or Microsoft brings us a co-sell opportunity, which is how do you work with Microsoft sellers, right? So the first thing we're gonna look at is referrals, co-sell opportunities. We notice we don't have any in there, right? Because we haven't used a marketplace to kind of get started. Inbound, and there's an outbound. The outbounds are the ones that you created that are waiting for Microsoft to actually reach out to you. Now, gotta be careful here. If you don't check the little box that's saying request Microsoft help, no one's gonna reach out to you. It's gonna be sitting there forever, okay? Now, the other thing too to understand is we are, the other thing to understand, okay, is Microsoft is scoring you now based on your interactions with co-sell in the marketplace. So you're getting higher points based on how much you're using this. So any customer that's 300 seats and above, I would go ahead and use this as a way to kind of, okay, let's go ahead and create a co-sell opportunity. When you have the co-sell ready option in the marketplace and you're turned on, then you'll be able to create opportunities here. And we actually have a workbook that shows you exactly what you need to create the opportunity. But super important area to understand and to start using as you start saying, okay, I'm getting good. I'm getting good at this. Now I want to start, okay, how do I work with Microsoft sellers? How do I get more of their attention? And then how do I ask them about other opportunities, right, they are working on? Okay, so that is the referrals portion of it. So let's go back to home. Okay, all right. So that is the Partner Center walkthrough. We've completed the walkthrough today. I think, yay, we've done that. All right, sounds good. Sounds good. So let me ping. Hey, Phil, can you ping Andres and see if he's available to do the marketplace walkthrough? I want to see if I can bring him on. I need to take a little break. So just let me know if you can come in. Thank you. All right. So this is Partner Center walkthrough. Let me go ahead and go back to my PowerPoint. Okay, and we've done that. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is this new program called Cloud Ascent, which is, geez, one of the most crazy best programs that have come out of Microsoft in many years. And if you've noticed what I've been talking about today, okay, what I've been talking about today is really how do I work with Microsoft, right? Or I've shown you clear things to focus on, and I haven't come in and say, okay, here are the 25 other programs that you have to figure out. But this is one that I believe has a lot of legs. I mean, wow, a ton of legs. Love it. And want to understand how we can make this work better, right, for you, right? So let me go ahead and share my screen again. Cloud Ascent, okay, what is it? It's building profitability with machine learning and AI. Okay, that's really what it is. It's trying to use the tools that we talk about, right? Like I think we talk a lot about Power BI, you've heard that, right? Or building a modern data warehouse, dashboarding today. And it's how are you taking data and making better decisions based on the data, right? And we keep telling that to everybody. We keep even telling that to our customers. But Microsoft has decided to say, okay, hey, we're going to show you how building a modern data warehouse can work for you. Okay. The cool thing is they've developed this, and they've applied. This is applicable to every partner that is on the program today. Okay, it's applicable to you, and just a beautiful program. Okay, so let's talk about what it is. Okay, so the first thing we need to understand are what are the Microsoft solution plays that we're going to be looking to use this to help us mine our current customer base. So the three things are Azure, Modern Workplace, and Business Apps. Okay, those are the three workloads that we're looking at. Okay, because those are the three areas. So if you're a Business Apps partner, CRM, ERP, no problem. This is going to help you out. Modern Workplace partner help you out. Azure help you out. Okay, this is great. And actually, before I get in here, Crystal, have you seen this program where to download the report?
No, I haven't seen that program.
Okay. Oh, you're going to go back to your leadership today and be like, I found something that you're all going to love. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. I promise you're going to say this. I promise. And take credit for it. Say you found it on your own. Okay. Okay, go ahead. I'm cool with it. Take credit for it. So, okay, we need to understand something. Who is this going after, right? And there's three different segments. There's very small business, 1 to 25 employees. Medium business, 25 to 300 employees, and then upper medium business is 300 plus, with Azure consumption revenue over $1,000 per month. Okay, these are the SMB segments and subsegments, right? I'm going to gloss over this page because the better one is to understand, if we understand the customer landscape, right? So there's 72 million accounts with the average number of employees of 25 or less with no IT, okay? There's 6.4 million accounts of average employees 25 to 300 with in-house IT or partner-led IT. Great. Then there are 350,000 enterprise accounts, lookalikes, that have in-house IT, right? That work with partners, but typically try to do it on their own. Okay, so if we understand that, where is our big market, right? It's really in SMB and business, right? But then how do we find them and how do we figure out what their intent is, right? So in comes Microsoft, boom, 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 right? Here comes Microsoft. We are going to turn on machine learning because we've been talking about this forever, but we're going to show you that actually this stuff works. So Microsoft has web crawlers that are out there that are scanning and collecting billions of customer signals by pinging company domains and monitoring blog posts and press releases and social streams and technical forums. Then the data collected in the previous step is then fed into a machine learning model, okay, that generates structured data sets of sales and marketing predictions for each customer by cloud, product, or cluster. Okay, this is so cool. I love this stuff. The last thing is going to use the machine learning, right, system to optimize those models and then provide you the data on propensity, meaning that which of your customers is ready to buy today on what workload. Now, let's also think about this for a moment. Okay. If we want to be honest with ourselves, if we want to be honest, okay, we do a lot of set it and forget it, meaning that we have a customer who has bought a lot of licenses 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. We sell them the licenses that they want, and we don't do a great job at going back to them and saying, hey, did you know about this? Did you know about that? Oh, by the way, you know that you're oversubscribed. Oh, by the way, BTW, right? BTW. Oh, thank you, Andres. I'm going to have you come in and just when I'm done with this cloud asset, if that's okay. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. This is generating the optimal models. Okay, so let me go back to presenting my screen here. Okay, now let's understand the models a little bit, or the buying signals. So what Microsoft is doing, okay, is they're looking at behavior elements first. Browsing patterns, job postings, blogs, skills profiles, content downloads, and then they're looking for buying signals and content consumption. Which customers are downloading stuff on cloud productivity, CRM, ERP, mobile device management, voice? What are they looking for, right? Then it's also going to then score based on win-loss, MS sales or CRM data, right? People that are coming and going, historical revenues and sales pipelines, right? And then lastly, they're going to look at firmographics and technology installs. And what firmographics means, really cool. I don't even think it's a word, but I like somebody coined it, right? Is they're looking at posts related to expansion. A company has added 30, 40, 50 employees, right? So it's scoring based on that. Okay. So after it scores, okay, it starts with buying signals, then goes to publicly available firmographics. Then the third piece is the buying signal types. Okay, great, buying signal. Okay, then it's going to give you 4 clusters. And this is where I think is the beauty of this report. It's going to say, okay, out of your 100 customers, we've done the research and we've noticed that right now, 10 of your customers are ready for the act now. They're sales ready. They've indicated they've been downloading a lot of activity. You probably didn't know that, but time to call. Next one is evaluate. We're going to say, okay, these customers are marketing ready customers. We're going to evaluate, right? The next one is nurture, drive awareness campaigns. And the last one is educate and monitor for intent. Okay, so they're giving you these 4 models. So when we download the report, we're going to open the report, and then what we're going to do is then filter based on act now, evaluate, nurture, and educate. Now, for your sellers, this is a beautiful thing, and this is why I said, Crystal, to go ahead and just take credit for this. You go to your next leadership meeting and say, hey, by the way, you know, I thought about this. Let's go ahead and section out our customers and see which ones have higher propensity to activate now. And then you say, I already did that, by the way, and here's a report. I've got 10 to give to business development. Go right now. And then I've got 20 over here that we need to get to marketing. And then 30 that we need to get to educate. We need to do some workshops for them. And then I bet you they'll look at you like, are you kidding me? This is awesome. This is amazing, right? So that's how I envision your conversation going there, Crystal. So hopefully that works. Okay. Now, the 4 workload models that they're using is one is white space. Meaning that, okay, in white space, they're composed of predictions for existing Microsoft customers where they don't have a product or net new prospect. The second one is upsell, right? Models are transaction data that's going to predict the potential for upsell, cross-sell. Okay, that's cool, right? I like it. What I really love is the third model, which is Azure Next Logical Workload, which is amazing because it's basically saying, okay, out of your 10 Azure customers, these customers need reserved instance. These customers need, cleanup on aisle 4. These customers need, better storage. They're maxing out, and you should call them and talk to them about, hey, the next logical workload is X. Should we talk about that? Should we talk about increasing or using, reserved instance, cut some of your costs? Then the last one is end of service, which shows the end of service customers for Windows 7 or Office 2010, or the latest one is Windows Data Center 2012. That's going to be coming up pretty soon. So it'll be good to have those 4 models. Okay. Now, with that being said, I want us to now, I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to show you where you get this report so we can all easily get this report. And then I'm going to hand it back over to a wonderful colleague of mine, Andres Oseguera, who is going to give us how to build marketplace offers. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here, okay, to get this report, the golden platinum report of all reports, we're going to go to the Insights tab. So click on Insights. Okay, Insights Overview. This is Analytics. So now scroll all the way down to the very bottom, and you see where it says Downloads Hub. So somebody forgot to give this a higher ranking because I think it should be much higher, but go ahead and click on Downloads Hub. Okay. And this is where we're going to get our report. This is our final report that we're going to actually have it download today and put into that folder for the audit. Okay. So you scroll down. As you see, I've already created some reports from earlier today. I want to go to create a new report. Everyone click on create a new report. Okay. Now, when we create this new report, okay, we're going to have basic data. And then what we do here, what is the data source of the report? I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to do this thing, Cloud Azure Propensity Data. when I click on Azure Propensity, I'm going to go over here and say select all. Okay, because this is the data I wanted to download. Which one's end of service, which one's inactive, Windows Server, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to give us this Azure cluster, Azure Attainment. Then I'll go back to the left and says Cloud Ascent M365. Click on that. We're going to select all again. And now we've got our 2 areas of reporting. This is the propensity model. These are the customers that fall in any one of those 4 buckets. We scroll down and we click on lifetime. We push apply. We give it a report name. Okay. And the way I would do it, propensity 2024 May. Okay, very cool. CSV file, great. Download now. Download is triggered successfully. Great. We click out of that. And then now it's going to take us back to our reports area. As you can see, mine's running right now. So it's running to get all that signal information. And then now you can go back and come back in and then download it and then start piecing it off. Okay, awesome. So that is Cloud Ascent in a nutshell. Any questions on that? Oh, Crystal, you don't have the downloads hub? Okay, Crystal, permissions. We need to get you more permissions. Okay, and that's executive reports. So hold on a minute. Let me show that before I give it to my good friend Andres here. So what I want you to do is go over to your top right-hand corner, Crystal, and you have your My Profile. Go to My Profile. And in here, you can view permissions, but this is not going to give us all the permissions, okay? So what I want you to do is actually go over to User Management on the left-hand side. Okay. And what we're going to do here is we're actually going to put our name. Okay, and I'm going to push search. So it's going to grab my name. Okay, great, awesome. So I'm going to click in there. Now the reason I'm taking you here is because the other GUID doesn't show you if you have a global admin. It's not going to show you all the places to actually check. Okay. Okay, let's see. So it should say executive reports. So let's scroll down. Do you have all these boxes checked?
Hold on, I'm checking. It's thinking.
No problem. Yeah.
Let's see. Compliance. The admin is not checked, so I guess I can click that one.
Cool.
And report request isn't clicked. Incentives are clicked, and view due data reports. So let's try this for organization update.
Okay, so that's going to take you about 24 hours. I'm sorry, but it just gets to cycle through the system, and then you should have that. Now, Crystal, we're also part of this session. This is for everybody included. Microsoft's part of our contract with Microsoft is to provide 2 hours of free consulting. We've already talked to you. I would love to talk to you again. I'm happy to kind of like walk you through some of these little things if we forget or whatever. Like I'll help you with whatever you need afterwards. So
okay, thank you.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. So that's really that. Okay. All right. So our next logical step, I'd like to introduce you to the great Andres Oseguera. He is here today. He's our director of alliance programs for our organization. And what he's going to do is actually walk you through Marketplace. You may or may not have that in your partner portal, but what's important is creating an offer, but also creating a private offer and understanding that. Now, before I let Andres speak here, I don't steal all his thunder, but in the past, it was actually really difficult to create this, right? And you could work with outside organizations that would charge you $12,000 to $16,000 per offer, okay? A lot of money, right? Today, we're going to give you step-by-step directions. Now, also, if you don't have access to Marketplace inside your partner center, follow along with us. And then in the PowerPoint, they're very detailed. Actually, Andres put it together, very detailed arrows and exactly what you need to do. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to my good friend Andres. I'm going to take a little break while you're doing that, and I'll be back a little bit later. Okay, thank you very much. All right, Andres?
Hey everybody, how are we doing today? Thank you for your time. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you guys can take a look at our partner center. I'm sure Sherman has mentioned it before, but we don't actually work directly with customers, so I'm not going to have any marketplace offers for our organization here. They're going to be relevant for your side, but I think it'll hopefully give you an idea, some context as to why it matters and what's the purpose of it. So let me actually start there, because I know for a lot of partners I speak with on a daily basis, one of the primary questions that I get is, what's even the point? You know, why am I going through this? Why am I taking time to actively create these offers, manage them? And, you know, I think it's important to note, number one is it's visibility. Okay, so you're showing Microsoft both from an executive level, but also individually from the seller level, what it is that you do, what it is that you specialize in, how you help customers. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, if you get to the point where you actually have a specific offer that is IP co-sell incentivized, that has Mac enabled, for example, it's actually going to help you close some larger opportunities with some customers who may have already established a specific amount of money they intend to spend with Microsoft. And then I think holistically, it really allows you to open up the door to conversations with some of these sellers, because you're showcasing, again, what you do, and they have a better idea of how you bring value to the market, so that if they have additional customers that may be relevant to what you do, you can have those conversations that are important, that matter, can help you close and win more deals. So I don't want you guys to just throw this away, because realistically, it's one of the most important things that you can do, because Microsoft is using it as a metric to study your organization and see, do you qualify based on their metrics with your offers in place? Do you showcase what you're able to do? So hopefully that gives everybody a little bit of context here just to get started. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat window before we get into this, then I can answer them. And then also, I'd love to know if you guys wouldn't mind going to the chat window. Let me know if you have an offer today that's live in the marketplace. I'll give everybody a moment. Let me know if you've actually uploaded one, because I'd love to maybe see, if you have, what is it that you currently have uploaded, and have you seen any traction with it? So let me know in the chat window if you guys wouldn't mind. I'd love to see if this is something you guys are doing. So Crystal says she hasn't just yet. Okay, good. So there should be a lot of information that's relevant. How about everybody else? Cranzer Group, we have not. Full transparency, we do not have any offers today. Anybody else willing to share? Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and actually show you how to do this. I'm going to assume that nobody has anything today. First thing, assuming you have Partner Center opened up, where is this? This is under Marketplace Offers. Okay, so go ahead and select that icon. Okay, now what you'll notice here on the left-hand side, you're going to have an overview, and you're going to have a private offers section. Now, I'll get into private offers a little bit later down the line, but important to note, private offers are going to be built and structured around what your actual marketplace offer is today. With any customer, right, we might have some type of engagement service that is, let's say, for 100 customers as the general framework. But, the customer might come and say, hey, I've got something for 250 users, or I've got something for 500 users, I've got it for this amount of consumption, whatever it is. And so if you need it customized based on that different frame of reference, that's when you would create a private offer. But we'll get into that a little bit later down the line. So right here in the overview section is where you'd actually go through the process of submitting these offers. First thing I will point you to here is this icon that says new offer. You see this caret here? You're going to go ahead and click this drop down. What you'll notice is that this is actually going to be the list of the different types of offers that you could upload. Now, depending on your organization, what you guys specialize in, I would venture to guess that the majority of you, assuming you're an MSP, a CSP, are going to have a consulting service. Okay, if you're an ISV and you've got a specific, a solution that is outside of Microsoft's purview, then you might have some of these other different options, whether it's, some type of managed for service, Power BI app, visual, maybe it's a container virtual machine, a SaaS product, right? It could be a variety of different things, but for the majority of MSP, CSPs, you're probably going to have a consulting service, because this is where you're going to be able to have, whether it's workshops, whether it's some type of, implementation of a specific product. This is where the majority of us are going to focus in on. So this is where I'm actually going to go ahead and focus in on, and I'm going to select on consulting service. Okay. What you'll notice, right when you select that, you're going to get two immediate things. It's going to say offer ID and it's going to say offer alias. Now, the offer ID, what is this? Well, this is actually what's included in the URL when the marketplace offer goes live. So, when you have some www.Azure Marketplace /offerid.com. Okay. That's what this is. Not super critical, but just so you know, that's where this information is going to go. And then the offer alias is not actually going to be visible anywhere except your personal partner center. It's going to be how you're going to be able to manage the different offers that you might ultimately create when you upload something here inside of Partner Center, right? So let's just say it's an example. It's some type of workshop on Copilot, right? Copilot is all the rage today. So let's say it's a Copilot workshop. You might have an offer ID that says Copilot _ 3-day workshop, and your offer alias might be a 3-day Copilot workshop. Okay, so you input both of these here, and then you go ahead and click on create. I've already created a couple test runs here, so I'm just going to select on test. Okay, once you go ahead and move that forward, it's going to take you here right into the offer overview and the offer setup. Now, I'm going to start here on the offer setup because this is where it typically takes you as soon as you create a new offer. Any issues, any questions before we get a little bit further here on what I've just discussed? Nothing from Claudia, appreciate it. Nothing from Crystal either. Okay, I'll keep going. Please, if you have any questions, anything that doesn't make sense in the meantime, let me know. Okay, so you'll see here, first thing you have is an alias. Again, that's going to be the same thing as you saw in the previous, just reconfirm whatever you want to call it so that it's visible in Partner Center. You'll also notice you can actually connect a CRM here. Okay, so anytime you have an offer or some type of registration for one of these different workshops, whatever it is, you're going to potentially get leads from customers who are actively searching the marketplace. Okay, when that customer sees, XYZ offer for your organization and they input their contact information, if you have a CRM enabled, and you'll notice here if I select connect, they're actually going to have an option for Marketo, Salesforce, and Dynamics immediately available, but you can also use an Azure table or an HTTPS endpoint for any other service that you might be utilizing. But what this is going to do for you is it's going to automatically connect that CRM so that it's uploaded as an opportunity right when somebody selects or inputs their data. Now, not necessary, right? You'll get a notification email sent to you whenever somebody actually sends more information about the offer, but this just makes it a cleaner process, okay? So that's the first thing here in terms of the setup. You got a name. Do you want to connect the CRM? Okay. Now, next piece here is going to be the properties section. So go ahead and select on properties for me. And I'll give everybody a moment to get there. The one thing I'm going to mention here when it comes to the property section, this experience is going to be different. You'll see on that PowerPoint. It's different depending on the product that you are utilizing. Okay, what do I mean by that? If I click on this drop down again for these products, you'll notice that there is Azure, there are Dynamics, there are the Power Platform, and there's Microsoft 365, right? So in Azure, primary product might be some type of migration proof of concept, or it might be some type of Azure workshop to understand, some of these different services. If it's Dynamics, it might be the same thing except for Dynamics 365 sales, right? Power Apps, maybe some type of POC for a Power BI dashboard. Microsoft 365 could be some type of Copilot enablement workshop. Whatever it is, you just have to make sure you select the primary product that you're going to be showcasing from Microsoft. Now, the reason I'm saying it depends and it makes changes is because what you'll notice, I'll show you, if it's an Azure primary product, you'll notice it's going to ask you for solution areas. If it's Dynamics, it's going to say, what are the applicable products? If it's Microsoft 365, it'll ask for solution areas as well. And for Power Apps, it'll ask for products, okay? Now, in this case, as I'm going to walk you through, I'm just going to go ahead and assume, again, this is a Copilot adoption workshop. So I'm going to go ahead and select Microsoft 365 as the primary product, okay? Now, it's going to allow you to go ahead and actually select 3 of these in this case, okay? So if I were to, let's say this is a Copilot workshop, it might be adoption and change management, right? It might be, let's say, in this case, it might be identity and access management. You say, why would it be identity and access management? Well, it's because whenever you're enabling a new service like Copilot, security needs to be enabled appropriately. Otherwise, people are going to be able to query your company data for a host of information that they're not supposed to have access to, okay? That's the beauty of AI, access to information that is both, has positives and negatives, right? And then let's say another one that we might want to select is some type of teamwork deployment, right? So those would be my 3 top solution areas that this applies to. Now, the reason it's important, the ones that you select, is your offer is going to be categorized based on solution area. So when somebody goes and actually looks for an offer in the marketplace, you can actually filter results based on solution area. And so you want to make sure you select the most appropriate, so that you come up in those queries assuming the customer is doing this, okay? So those are the first, that's the first thing you're going to want to do. What are the solution areas? Second thing I'm going to want to do is I got to decide, is this an assessment? Is this a briefing, implementation, proof of concept, or workshop? There is fine print and more details that you can search for depending. You click on this learn more section. When you click on this I, that's going to give you a lot more details here as to what are the primary differences, okay? So I'll go ahead and I'll copy this here just to give it to you. Copy the link, and I'll put it here in the chat window. But as you can see here, assessment evaluates the environment to determine if it's an applicable solution. A briefing is an intro to the solution using demos. Implementation is an actual installation of the product. A proof of concept is a limited scope implementation. And the workshop is an engagement where the customer is actively giving you information. You're going through some of these different pieces, and they're really trying to explore, is this something that makes sense? So again, in this case, mine would be a Copilot workshop in this case. So I go ahead and select this as a workshop. Again, this may be different for whatever you're actively looking to do. You'll then see that when I select that it's a consulting service, okay, I can actually select specific industries, okay? So in this case, I can select, I believe it's 2 industries. So let's say I wanted to do something for financial services. And then I wanted to go ahead and do something for, let's say, healthcare, okay? You'll also notice that I can actually select individual sub-industries. In this case, for financial services, I might say banking and capital markets. And for healthcare, maybe life sciences and providers. Okay. And so again, why does this matter? Well, similar to when you're looking to buy something online, you might want to simplify the buying process by filtering the results based on specific industries and maybe potentially even sub-industries. And so again, you're going to want to filter this based on the targets that you want, so that it's easier to find your solution for the customers that are looking for a specific problem in that industry. Again, I'm sure Sherman has mentioned this, right? Verticalization of your offers can be very useful because of this, right? You might want to create a co-pilot adoption workshop for healthcare organizations, a co-pilot adoption workshop for financial services, because again, it creates additional searchability for your offer. It makes it more attractive for customers in that industry, and overall makes you look like a market leader for those solutions. So this is basically what you're doing, and you're helping your solution get searched. So I'm going to pause there for a second. We just went through properties. Any questions on that? That makes sense to everybody? If it makes sense to you, feel free to give me a thumbs up or let me know in the chat window that you don't have any questions on that. Crystal, makes sense. Awesome. Good. Okay. So you go ahead and you click save, right? And then you go to your offer listing. Okay. Now this is going to be now the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of your offer. Okay. This is where you're going to include information that's relevant so that when the customer actually finds the listing, they understand what the listing is. The property section was all about allowing the customer to actually find it. And now we're giving information so they understand what it is. Okay. So first thing you're going to have here is a name. Okay, now keep in mind, there's a very specific format here. I work with a lot of partners where they actually reject the offer specifically because the name is not in the format that they like. They're very specific on this, okay? So they're going to want the name, the duration, and the type of service that it is. So you would say, in this case, a 3-day or a 1-day Microsoft adoption workshop for healthcare, for example, right? Very clearly spell it out, understand how long it is, what it is, and ultimately what it's looking to do. Then in the summary, it's going to be a brief description of what you're trying to do. So in this case, it might be 1-day workshop to fully understand whether or not an organization is prepared to integrate Microsoft Copilot into their technology stack. Okay. Be as descriptive and as to the point as possible, because again, I've had Microsoft reject some of these offers just because it's not as specific as they want it to be. And then here you've got your description. Okay, so similarly, you can think about a registration page for an event. This is now where you can get into a lot more details around what your offer actually is. And you can get very specific. That Microsoft very much likes it in a bulleted format where you can get, specific line items as to what you're going to receive, what's going to take place in that workshop, and what ultimately the goals are, as that the customer can take away from that engagement. Okay, so that again is going to be the name, the summary, and the description. You're then going to have your 3 keywords. Okay, so again, very much like the property section, this is all for searchability. So if somebody were to look up, in my case, I might want to select Copilot. I might want to select workshop. I might want to select adoption, right? Because I might be calling it a Microsoft Copilot adoption workshop. So again, make it easy for them to find your offer. Then you've got a duration, okay? You'll notice they've got a value and they've got a unit. What does that mean? Well, if you click on the drop down, you're going to have numbers 1 through 12. So in this case, it would be 1 for me, and the unit would be day, right? You'll notice there is hours, days, weeks, and months. So this might be, in my case, a 1-day Microsoft Copilot adoption workshop. You might have a 5-day Microsoft Azure proof of concept. I don't know. Okay. But again, this is just giving more details as to what this offer is and what the customer is going to get. You'll then have contact information. Okay. These are the people that are going to be, the people are going to actively reach out to from Microsoft if there's any questions, if there's anything, any customer that's inputted their data in the form to learn more about your solution. So you need to have 2 primary contacts. We definitely want somebody there that's responsive, and most likely somebody that's going to be actively reaching out to the customer in that process, right? You probably don't want a back-end resource here. You might want, a director of sales or, an alliance manager here that's going to be managing this marketplace offer. Okay, so that, again, when the customer inputs their data, you can reach out ASAP to make sure you have that conversation with the customer. Okay, so again, you can have 2 contacts. And then you've got your supporting documents. Okay, you see there's a few different things here. I'll scroll back to the top. Number 1, this is going to be where you can have information around your white papers, your brochures, your PowerPoint presentations to give more context as to what your offer actually is. Now, keep in mind here, each of these have specific details as to what these documents have to be. There are no exceptions, okay? Again, they are very particular. In this case, for this specific section, they're looking for PDFs. Right? So it could be a PDF presentation as to what it is, a PDF one-pager describing what it does, whatever ultimately it's going to be, all right? They then will need a logo from your company. This needs to be, in this case, a PNG file, 216 by 216 minimum, 350 by 350 maximum. Again, no exceptions, okay? So you've got your supporting documents up to 3, you've got your logo, and then you can actually have up to 5 images that talk through, it's very similar to supporting documents. Primary differences here, these are now going to be PNGs, and they have to be, I will emphasize again, have to be 1280 by 720. You'll see they've got some examples what you could put here. Maybe it's a walking deck, maybe it's a case study, maybe it's some type of wind wire, a one-pager. Again, it's spelling out what your offer is and what it does for the customer. You can then have a video, okay? This video has to be a YouTube or a Vimeo link only. You can't have a OneDrive link that's located in your organization. Has to be specifically, again, YouTube or Vimeo. And then on top of that, it's going to need a thumbnail that is 1280 by 720 PNG. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of context as to what you're going to need here inside of these offer listings. This is, again, the meat and potatoes of that offer. Now, I'll reemphasize this again because I've created quite a few different offers. You may have some type of issues that Microsoft has. They will send you updates if they don't agree with something, or if they have issues with something, they'll let you know. And then typically, you just go in there quickly and make the updates and you'll be good to go. So just make sure you stay on top of that. There's sometimes, some things that you got to get through, whether it's the nomenclature you use, how you describe it, the types of files you're uploading. They might have some issues, but again, it's definitely worth, it's worth it. Okay. Last thing here that is important, if you go to pricing and availability, is going to be the actual cost. Okay. What is it that you're ultimately offering at what price for this customer? Before you actively get there, though, I will mention you can select specific markets, right? You might want to be worldwide. You might want to be just US or some other organization, country. Up to you. You decide what you want to do there. Okay. Now, pricing. You notice there's 2 things here: free and paid. Okay. Not necessarily, any major differences in terms of is it going to get more visibility or not? It's really just describing whether or not the customer's going to have to pay out of pocket for it. But I will mention, if you select paid, there is then an additional 2 options. Let me give a little bit more context here. It's either going to be fixed or it's going to be estimated. What does that mean? Well, if you got an offer that is, it's based on 4 hours of work, and this, in my case, a Copilot workshop at $1,000, right? I would just say it's fixed at $1,000 USD. But let's say you've got some type of Azure-based offer that's based on consumption, some type of pilot, a POC. Well, it might be 5,000, it might be 6,000, might be 5,600. I don't know, right? And so you might just say it's estimated at 5,000, let's say, but there's room for some changes there depending on how much the customer is going to consume as you're actively creating and submitting that offer. Okay, so just so you know, you're going to have to select between the other 2. If it's free, it's just free, and it's noted there for the customer so that they know that. Okay, that's pricing and availability. If you've got a specific, co-sell offer that you wanted to spell out here, this is where you'd actually be able to go to those co-sell solutions. But for most of us right now, this is not going to be relevant. And then here on the history side, you've got basically, okay, it looks like I created the offer in this case on the 5th, right? And you'll be able to see all the changes and updates that you've been able to make if you want to check that. So once that's ready to go, you can go to Offer Overview, select Review and Publish, and we're ready to go. Okay? That is ultimately creating an offer here in Partner Center. Any specific questions on that? Any issues? That makes sense? Give me a thumbs up if it does. If it doesn't, happy to answer any questions. And Sherm, if you want to add anything else in there, feel free.
No, I just want to say thank you, Andres. That was a very thorough overview of creating an offer. Now, we basically just walked you through what people were paying $16,000, $12,000 last year for. Okay, so we brought this to you in a silver platter, right, on how to do that. Now, so with that being said, I think we're actually at the conclusion of our workshop. There's a couple things I just want to clear up. We actually have a link to our survey. Let me see if I can get it here. I would appreciate it if any way possible. Would you mind just clicking on that survey link and go ahead and just fill it out? It's 5 questions. It's very simple. As well as I think there's one question in there. Do you want to be added to the Fabric Lab list? So if you just click in that, that'll be awesome. Also in the workbook, the 3 things. So part of the offer for us, and just kind of help you understand. I'm going to share my screen here in the workbook. Because this is kind of like homework. Okay, in the workbook, if you look at this, and I think these are frozen, these frames, but basically what you do is you go into this workbook, and you have four different business assessment forms. Those are the only things that we want you to do. Okay, go in here, and what you do is you go down and you basically just use the drop down. Okay, and the drop down says, okay, what percentage are sales executives, of your employees, right? And if you have 20 to 40%, that means you have really low, and you get a red indicator. Now, what that red indicator means, it doesn't mean that you're a bad business, but what it means is that if comparing you to a growth partner, the top 25%, they would be a different scenario, right? So they're going to be 50 to 60 is sales, because they're actually building a real sales organization. So that's number 1. Number 2 is technical readiness. Go in here and fill this form out, or have your technical folks fill this one out. And what specializations are you targeting? What do you lead with? Microsoft Defender. What security products do you provision 1 through 8? All pretty simple stuff, right? So it'll give you a barometer of doing that. Then the last 2 here are actually important, near and dear to my heart. We have a marketing review assessment, which you're going to actually go in here, and what I want you to do is to actually fill this out. You have to fill out the forms. There's no drop downs on marketing. You have to fill this out. Okay. Now the last one I want you to do here, or just to understand, is the sales evaluation. Now for sales evaluation, I'd rather that you actually sent this to your actual sellers. Now, if you have more than one seller, Phil will add to your book. Just go to the chat window, say you have more than one seller, because we'll send you a workbook that has just this one tab is sales evaluation, and you can have your sellers all complete the workbook, or complete that one page. And I want to be able to tell you on our consulting afterwards whether those sellers are, frankly, worth their weight in gold or not. Do you have fool's gold, or do you actually have real gold, right? Which one do you have? And it's important, near and dear to my heart, because I really want to stop the madness. 2 sellers. Okay, Crystal, we're going to put into your file folder, Phil, if you could put that one file. So basically, it'll be a very small workbook here. Okay. Now, if you fill out these 4 areas, these 4 business assessments, it's just drop downs, click and cross. 1, you have the barometer of where you stand compared to your thing, and then 2, email it back to us. I'm going to give the email here to Philip Kent, pkent@crancer.us. Okay. You send it back to Phil, or upload it back into your link here. And we will then follow up and schedule a follow-up with you. Basically, it's gratis. It's being paid for by Microsoft. We charge about $500 an hour for what our consulting is. But Microsoft is paying for it. So take advantage of it if you can. We'd love to give you a little bit more, a little bit more experience. And then the last thing I'm going to mention is, and I'm sharing my screen, right? Another thing, we would love to invite you to the Voice of the Microsoft Partner Call, right? And so every month I put on a 1-hour podcast. Type in here, right? This one for Louis. Okay, yeah, no problem. So this is events. If you go to events, I'm going to actually get the link. This is the link to the calendar invites. So go ahead and click on that link and it'll download the invite if you accept it. We've also been really careful with these invites where we've blocked the ability to see who has accepted. So your name and email address will not be shared with anybody. Okay, we figured that out. It's been the bane of my existence for years, but now it's no longer. We figured it out. So go ahead and click that. It'll be just every last Friday. Join it if you can. And what it is, it's 1 hour where we're interviewing Microsoft executives, or we're interviewing successful partners. We do a marketing one twice a year, best and worst marketing tips. Just a cool place to kind of look. We don't sell anything in these. We don't at all. Okay, so there's no selling in there. 1 hour, it's fun. Network with your friends and partners around the world. And we look forward to that. Okay, so that's that. And then if you're looking to buy or sell your organization, we also have an M&A marketplace. Okay, and I'm going to give you the link to this. This is very interesting. It's actually kind of cool. So we partner with a company that has an anonymous marketplace where if you're thinking of selling your organization or you're thinking of buying, you go into our M&A marketplace, you fill out a form, you talk to these folks, and it's free of charge. There's no cost to it. And you can list your organization anonymously. Or if you're looking to buy, you can search for organizations anonymously until you actually get serious about it. And then they actually do the introductions if it gets serious. But it's anonymous. So you never know where you're at in life or what you're doing. There you go. Okay. And then we did put out the forms to fill out. So with that being said, I want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us for 3.5 hours of the 4. We want to give you a little time back in the day. And thank you, Andres, for coming. Any last comments or questions or, questions that you might have?
No, thank you for the pointers. It's some good information.
Great. And thanks so much for sticking around the whole time. This is great. I appreciate it, Crystal. I really do. I really do. There's a lot of info, man. Holy Moses. But we're stopping a bunch of your extra time that you spent on it. So I saved you time.
There you go. Yeah.
Important the sex stuff. Okay, awesome. All right, everybody. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it. And then Andres, I'll call you right after I get off this. So thank you again. Have a great afternoon. And we will talk to you all later. Well, hopefully we can. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.